What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Late to the Game podcast. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Sean B., and I'm here with my other co-host for the night, Cull Dog 099.
We here. We haven't recorded in a little bit, but excited to get back into it. Hopefully, it's going to be a good episode today. We are Sans T-Mac.
Once again. So, like Cullen just said, back recording. We're at August 16th, 2023. Also, like Cull said, we are missing our other co-host for tonight, Tom T-Mac. Still down in North Carolina.
He was back for about a week.
Came back for a week. We hung out
for
a little bit.
It was a little too hectic to get a podcast in. Unfortunately.
For all the fans that are curious, he's doing good.
Sure.
In good spirits. And as always, we wish Mans the best.
Yes.
And can't wait to see him back again.
Yes, there's an empty seat for him yet again.
Absolutely.
We would pan the camera to it again.
When we get the video recording, we will pan there when he is not here. Or when one of us is not here.
Or maybe he'll be here that day.
Yeah. But today, we're starting an action franchise series that, honestly, I was not planning on starting.
Honestly, we were both late to the game, too, you could say.
Absolutely. I was definitely not planning on starting this year. I've seen two of them before this, but I have not seen the first or second one, which is what we are talking about today, which Cole can jump into because he's the one that got me into watching them this year.
Yes, sir. So today we're doing Mission Impossible 1 and Mission Impossible 2.
Mission Impossible 1 and 2? Initial thoughts on it. What do you think? Initial thoughts.
Initial thoughts, I was like, it's a Tom Cruise action franchise. People love these movies. I know Ethan Hunt is like one of those action, really known action characters, like one of the biggest ones out there.
It's like the James Bond for America.
Yeah, in a way. Like, these movies make a shit ton of money. People really like them. There's always a crazy Tom Cruise stunt that you're going to see. And I was always intrigued by them, but like I said, honestly, just kind of a little bit late to the game, too. I only saw 1 and 2 for the first time ever last summer. So, like a year ago, 2022. And these movies have been coming out since the fucking mid-90s. So,
yeah,
definitely,
sure.
Definitely movies I could have watched as a kid, as a teenager. But, like I said, just never really got around to. I liked 1, 2 I wasn't so big of a fan of. And so far I've only seen 1 to 3. So I'm still but there's still like 5, 6 more movies after that.
Yeah, so right now they're
I'm
on
still
their
really behind.
7th?
I think the 8th.
I think the next one is it. I think Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's confusing also because the newest one is a Part 1, Part 2.
Yeah, I did.
Dead Reckoning Part 1 just came out.
Yeah.
And Part 2 will be coming out next year or maybe the year after.
Probably like a year, yeah.
My initial thoughts.
Let's hear them.
I saw the third one and the fourth one before seeing the first or second one. I think I saw the fourth one first.
The fourth one's with Jeremy Renner.
It's the first one where he shows up. And it was really good.
Yeah. Third one's good, too.
They're in Dubai, I believe.
Not Abu Dhabi.
Not sure,
we
honestly.
We had a little confusion about that.
We had some confusion in them in the fast
episode. But it's been clarified.
But he's I think it's Dubai because Dubai has the tallest building,
the Burj
right?
Khalifa.
He's climbing it, and then there's a sandstorm, crazy scene. We'll get to it eventually.
Word.
But that was the first one I saw. Overall, pretty solid movie. Just before we rewatch it, right now I'd probably give it like a solid 7 out of 10.
7's not that great.
It's still up there. It's not a low rating.
No, I hear you, brother.
But then I rewatched. Not rewatched. I watched the third one. I watched the first one at some point years ago, but then Cullen recently told me that he was starting them, and I jumped in with him, and we watched the first and second one. Like Cull said, second one's not a great movie.
Not great.
It has its moments, but
it does. It's got a really good director behind it, but it falls short in a lot of ways. Sadly.
And the first one is obviously just like a stepping off point. It's a good start to see where the franchise is going to go.
Yeah, so I'm just going to jump into a little bit of background info about, kind of how we got started on this, not us, but like, the filmmakers got started on this.
How this movie became.
Exactly, on this journey, you're only going to hear this stuff on Late to the Game.
Of course.
So
it was in depth.
Exactly. So it was based off a TV series of the same name that aired from 1966 to 1973. Actually had some big name actors that I recognize, including Martin Landau, Leonard Nimoy, and Sam Elliott. So pretty big names in there. Originally ran on CBS. So it was 50-minute episodes. It either aired on Friday for 1 season, Saturday for 4 seasons, or Sunday for 1 season, and it was nights for his TV run. It was based on characters who work as spies for the fictional Impossible Missions Force, or better known as the IMF, and their sophisticated methods of deceiving, manipulating, thwarting hostile Iron Curtain, which of course divided the East and the West of Europe post-World War II, governments, third world dictators, corrupt industrialists, crime lords, and much, much more. So it's basically, like you said, in that spy genre. This show was, out a long time ago, long before we were born, but, it had a pretty popular following, obviously on a big network of CBS, and like I said, some big actors, and, so the Mission Impossible name's been around a long time. Do you ever see any episodes of the original show? I know you're a big original show guy. You watched a lot of the
original A-Team
yes,
shows.
Sir. So, maybe you ever catch a glimpse of it, even like a quick scene or something?
I don't think I ever have.
Nah.
Something I was going to say that you just mentioned is the IMF, the Impossible Mission Force.
Not real.
Had no clue that was the name of the team. I thought it was like
really?
something in the CIA. So I mean,
well, I think they
now
are,
the title of the movie makes a little bit more sense.
Right. I think like in the movie universe, they are supposed to be like a secret division of the CIA. You could call them, but they're all supposed to be like their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just never got the comparison of IMF. Also, I'm gonna open up this water real quick. I want to see if the fans get the.
The fans might not care about it. Oh, it's
a little bit of
honestly
one.
solid.
For just so the fans know, when you have like a bottle, like a liquid bottle water, Snapple, whatever, the noise that it makes when you first open it, that is the best sound in the world.
It's a solid sound.
Sorry, Cole, continue.
It's all good.
I'm pulling a Tom for tonight. Got to bring the comedy here.
So in the TV show, it is suggested that the IMF is an independent agency of the U.S. government, as there is an inscription stating, "Should you or any of your IM force be caught or killed, the secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions," or words to a similar effect.
Which, just from the 4 movies I have seen, I've learned there's a lot of disavowing going on in this movie. People get disavowed all the time.
Yeah. Then there was also a 1980s show that served as a continuation of the OG series, and it ran for 2 seasons from 1988 to 1990. Where the formula from the OG show was largely followed, but we expanded the IMF universe with additional divisions, additional teams.
Was it still called Mission Impossible?
Yeah, it was still called the same thing. Like I said, it was just different actors. Like I said, just more of a continuation, and obviously a little bit more hip. This one's at least 20 years later.
Gotcha.
And then so after that, there were numerous efforts by Paramount to make a feature film. They were all unsuccessful until Tom Cruise founded Cruise/Wagner Productions. Now his agent was Paula Wagner, so they founded this agency
Name
together.
makes sense.
Exactly. And they decided on Mission Impossible as their inaugural project, asking for a $70 million budget. So $70 million is a decent amount of money. They're like, we want to take this seriously, and we want to get them, hit the ground running with our production company.
They ended up getting a little bit more than that, right? If I'm reading this right?
Yes, they did. That was, like I said, just the initial ask.
Initial ask.
That was the initial ask. So Sidney Pollack, big famous director, he was the initial director and filmmaker of the project, but Brian De Palma took over to direct. He also designed most of the action sequences, whereas Tom Cruise, of course, did most of his own stunts.
Of course.
That's
which we will see he does the majority of them throughout these movies.
Even though he's
pushing his 60s.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit up there in age, but he's still a beast. All right, so the first one was released in the year 1996, but it is set chronologically 6 years after the 88 TV series.
So 94.
Mm-hmm. So okay. 94, yeah.
Gotcha.
But close enough.
Gotcha.
Fun fact, the dance rendition of the original theme song, which, Sean, I know you like to sing the banana. That song was by Larry Mullen Jr. and Adam Clayton. It actually became a top 10 hit and was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Pop Instrumental Performance.
It's a great performance. And they always use it at the perfect time.
Perfect time.
Like, I'll start, when we get up to the scene that they do in the first movie, I'm just going to start singing it.
No, you're good.
Because it just comes out of nowhere.
It does.
And it's hype.
And it gets you hyped. Because the movie's like, it might be a little slow there, but then that music gets you.
I was going to say,
like
they're describing their plan for what they're going to do at that point in the movie.
Right.
And you're like, all right, this is just like a planning phase. And then it just turns on and the action starts. I'm like, all right, I'm invested again. Let's go.
All right, so now let's get into the plot. So Jim Phelps, who was actually a character from the OG series, and he was played by Peter Graves, and now he's played by Jon Voight. He is the leader of the IMF and accompanies his team to Prague to stop rogue agent Alexander Gonsolin from stealing the CIA knock list, which would give up the names of all IMF agents internationally. So I think what we're learning here is that in the movie universe, like I said, the IMF looks like it is sort of a division of the CIA, but in the TV show is like completely separate division, no ties to government. But it seems like the IMF still works like they don't have ties to government, but they technically do in the movie universe. I think that's what I'm getting from the research I was doing here. The mission is a huge failure. I've got failure in all caps because each of the members, besides Hunt, is killed off seemingly one by one, as is Gotselin, the guy that they were trying to capture and stop, leaving Hunt as the only survivor of the mission, which makes him look a little bit suspicious. So now we're going to have, right off the bat, a quick debate time. Was it the right move to kill off his team with some big actors in it so early? We're about 20 minutes into the movie when they all get killed off. And one of my boys, Emilio Estevez, gets killed off. I was really liking his character. I'm really excited that, he might be a part of the franchise, or at least a big part of the first movie. So what are your initial thoughts on that, Sean?
So my thing was so when we were watching it together, I think I even said to you, as they started going down one by one, this could just be from seeing, have seen some of the Mission Possibles before. Recently, I watched a couple of the 007 movies. It could just be, from watching those, I was like, someone in the crew is still alive.
Right.
Just initially, I said it to you. I was like, someone in the crew is still alive and probably planned this whole thing.
You were like, they all died? I'm like...
there's...
And I, was trying to not spoil, but I was like, yeah.
Right.
What do you think?
I said, I'm like, someone is someone that they don't show every single, body, which what we've learned from action movies is, no body, no death sometimes.
And sometimes even body still doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, because they didn't show, a lot of these people, actually dying on screen, I was like, so at least one of these people is alive, and they're just trying to,
but
fake you out.
But not all of them were. There were some that
exactly.
Like my boy.
Your boy, Jack Harmon.
Jack, yep.
He dies in an elevator,
he was the
sadly.
tech guy.
He was the tech guy.
He has a brutal death scene. This shit is tragic.
I forget the other female that's on the team, but not Phelps' wife, the other one.
Yeah.
She dies in, a car bomb. Yes. And then there's a third female spy that's with Ethan at the time, and she gets I believe stabbed,
yep.
When she goes to check on the guy they're trying to capture,
Gotselin.
But yeah, just it's just very out of nowhere for you just meet all of these 5 or 6 agents, and the first scene of the movie,
dialogue. It seems like they're introducing these characters,
right? And the first scene of the movie shows that they're a very tight knit team,
they've been
because
together for years.
They plan out this having this other Russian guy. It seems like he killed a stripper or someone that he brought back to a hotel room, and they're trying to set up this way for them to find out where the knock list is. Mm-hmm. And it's all planned, it was a fake room. The stripper that he allegedly killed ends up being one of the agents who just took this liquid that makes it look like she died. Mm-hmm. So it looks like they're a pretty tight knit team that knows what they're doing. And then when 4 of the 5 just
20 minutes
go down in the first 20 minutes. It definitely hits you by surprise. But like I said, it's just one of those things where you're something about this isn't right.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I said, I was just annoyed that they killed off Emilio Estevez because I like him as an actor, and
right.
I thought he was gonna play. His character seemed cool. He seemed like he was the tech guy, but not kind of a nerdy tech guy, kind of also like a badass tech guy.
No,
which is a cool thing. And I was like, I hope he's in the whole movie. I hope he might be in some of the sequels. And I was mistaken, or I was let down by that. But like I said, that's the decision they made. So. Anyway, moving on from that, Hunt meets with IMF director Kittredge in a restaurant, where Kittredge is claiming to be his ally, but Hunt realizes that another IMF team was present, and the whole job was a setup to lure out a mole within the IMF, as Gosselin helped by posing as the rogue agent.
Right.
The mole is working with someone named Max as a part of Job 314, and as Kittredge is accusing Hunt, he escapes with explosive chewing gum and breaks out of the restaurant, which is actually a really cool scene.
I was going to say, we should talk about the building just a little bit.
Yeah.
The building is it's basically an entire water tank, surrounds the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because he shoots the exploding gum at the water tank, and it blows up and all the water comes out, and that's part of the distraction.
Apparently that was also a real stunt too.
They built...
they blew up glass. It was really dangerous.
Doesn't matter. Tom Cruise is still going to do it.
Tom Cruise wanted it to do it. It cost him a shit ton of money. I was reading about it.
But it's just even before it blows up, the building just looks sick. I said,
it was a cool place to eat.
They've got a water tank right against the wall that's got like a bunch of fish. There's water on the ceiling, like glass
panels.
Yeah, it's like a glass floor and ceiling above them. Like it just looked like a cool building, and Ethan destroyed that building immediately with a piece of chewing gum.
He was there for less than 5 minutes
before he blew that bitch up.
And he's like, I'm getting out of here. So then Hunt goes to his safe house. So, the team where, like I said, most of them are dead, to our knowledge at this point. Ethan goes back to the safe house. He realizes that Job 314 is actually the Bible verse, Job 314,
yes,
with Job being the mole's code name. So, obviously, spy movie, we got lots of code names in here.
Yes, sir.
Phelps' hot wife, Claire, returns to the safe house.
Solid description.
Explaining and lying that Phelps warned her they were compromised, which aided her timely escape, we'll say. Hunt arranges a secret meeting with Max, who, we find out is actually a female.
Yes.
Warns her, I thought she was, I thought that was going to be a male. Warns her that her knock list that she has obtained is a fake, but he can get her the real one in exchange for both $10 million and Job's true identity. Hunt and Claire, this is where I feel like the movie really picks up. Hunt and Claire recruit 2 disavowed IMF agents, elite hacker, and my boy Luther Strickle, played by Ving Rhames, and helicopter pilot Franz Krieger, played by Gene Reno, and some of our fans might recognize him as Leon the Profesh. So what were your thoughts on, these 2 people joining the team? Because at first, it was just the one-man Ethan crew. He's kind of on his own, kind of a little Jason Bourne style. Then he's got the hot girl with him, like any other spy movie. Got to have a hot girl there.
Yep.
But now he's actually getting, some people to be on his side. He's got some muscle. He's a hacker, though. He's also a tech guy. And then he's got a pilot. He needs a pilot. I guess, he can't really pilot himself. He's not Top Gun. He's not Maverick in this universe.
He's not Top Gun.
He's not Maverick. So, what are your thoughts on when these 2 come into the fold?
Well, so when we see Claire's alive, that was interesting. But I also I already expected like a relationship between Ethan and Claire from the beginning, because in the first scene she plays the dead
stripper thing.
She plays the dead stripper, and he wakes her up, and the way he's waking her up seems like they're in like a relationship. And then later, you see Phelps is like introducing all the teammates, and he's like, "And my wife," and I was like, "Ethan was getting a little frisky with your wife in the first scene." That's a little.
I've got a debate about that a little bit later.
Okay, so then that'll just be my point on her. Luther, like I said, like you said, he was an interesting take, because I'm expecting he's going to be the hacker, but he's also going to be the muscle, but we don't see a lot of action from him. He's more of like the behind the scenes hacker type guy.
We get more action from him in later.
We probably will,
sure,
but
though.
It's just interesting that the first few movies he's more of just like the
behind the scenes,
behind the desk type guy. He doesn't really get into most of the action.
No, that's true.
And then
Krieger,
I thought was interesting because they keep saying he's the pilot, and in one of the first like big action scenes in the movie, he ends up going in with Ethan, and I'm like, well, I thought this dude was just the pilot. So it's something cool. I thought it was cool that like you expect something from these characters, either from the description they're giving you or the appearance they have, and they end up being somewhat opposite of what you're expecting.
Like that?
I like that. Okay. I liked thinking
good, right?
Luther was going to be the muscle. He's not. He's just that dude behind the desk, but he does a really good job at what he's doing.
He's really
behind the scenes
and just solid.
Yeah, and he's on top of it. And I thought Krieger, I'm expecting like, oh, he's just going to be some pilot. Like Ethan's going to be doing all the heavy lifting. Maybe Claire will help because she's also like a field agent. But like, wasn't expecting much from Krieger. And then he ends up going into the building with Hunt later in the movie. Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, what's one thing is I wish they would have like given you a little bit more of these 2 guys' backstories. They really like kind of blow by it. Like I said, Ethan's just trying to recruit, and he's trying to get people who have IMF experience but aren't current
disavowed.
Agents. Yeah, disavowed. Yeah. And then he just like goes on a description, and he's just like, oh, we got our hacker, and he's like, oh, we got our pilot. You know what I mean? There's no like. And like even when he meets them and like asks them like a couple questions, you know what I mean? It's not like you don't really get much, in terms of backstory.
With Luther, we have the chance of it being expanded. Like I said, I haven't seen 3 or 4 recently, and I obviously haven't seen the ones past since. So there's a chance they get expanded upon. I can't really say much for Krieger, obviously,
right?
But I agree. They should have at least had like a better introduction, like maybe Ethan goes to find them and you see what they're doing right before,
action, or even like a little like flashback scene to like when like they're younger, like just a little like quick thing, and like just just like I said, so you get something to learn a little bit more about, the characters' kind of motivation, kind of their skills, and just something like that. I feel like,
Right.
could have helped it a little bit.
Right.
But that's all good. Now we get into a really cool part where they take on an impossible mission to infiltrate the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, to steal the authentic list from a heavily guarded and vaulted room, which includes Ethan crawling through the vents and being hung inches, more like centimeters, from the floor while trying to catch his sweat to not set off the trigger alarm. So that's what's playing when they're pulling into CIA headquarters in Langley.
Yep.
Like I said, that's I don't know if I'm going to say one of the most famous, but definitely one of the more recognizable scenes.
I would say him rappelling down.
Yes, when he's hanging like
that's
that.
probably one of the most iconic scenes for this franchise.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you don't know that franchise, I feel like you'll be like,
you'll at least have seen like a picture of that.
Exactly.
Also, the room they're breaking into, it's very interesting that there's so much security on it. Like, if a drop of water hits the floor,
or sweat,
alarm
even
goes off.
From the guy working there.
If even like the smallest noise happens, alarm goes off. Like, there's so many like
security
details
measures.
And security measures for this that you have to notice. And even like watching the analyst guy who's like going in to like keep an eye on it, like go in, he's got to have like 2 handprints. He's got to have his eye check. Like, there's a lot of like measures. It's cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. Then what's it called? This goes successfully. They lure the guy out. The girl gets in there, and he's checking her out, and then she slips a laxative into his drink, so he's got to run to the bathroom a lot. So that gives them their window of opportunity to come in from the ceiling vent and go in there. So they get it done successfully, barely escaping on time, and then they drop a knife. Krieger drops the knife on the analyst's desk, which makes it, very suspicious, very obvious that someone's in there. But they successfully escaped the CIA building by all posing as firefighters.
I would also. This is one of the
Very
first
smart scenes.
One of the first scenes where you see Krieger's. You can see something's not right with Krieger, because he almost drops Ethan very early on during this mission. It's because of a rat, but still, he ends up saving it. So you're like,
barely.
oh. Yeah, barely, but you're like, oh, okay,
yeah.
He saved it, we're fine. But then he drops the knife.
Yeah, it didn't look like he dropped the knife intentionally, though. It was crazy.
But
how
I think it's one of those things
desk.
where they leave it up to you, like,
True.
Did he do it on purpose or didn't he?
True. Like I said, either way they get out, they pose as firefighters, and that's successful. So then here's where it gets a little bit weird, as you were saying with Krieger. He tries to pry the disc from Hunt as they get back to like their own, safe house.
They're in like a hideout.
Yeah, a little hideout thing. But what's his name? Ethan Hunt actually tricks him, and he gives the real list to Luther, entrusting him with safekeeping it. And even Luther's like, you're gonna trust me with this? And he's like,
You're gonna be in this franchise for a while, so I trust him, man.
He's like, I know you're like a good-hearted guy, and you wouldn't do it. And then Kittredge pulls a kind of pussy move here, I'm gonna call it. He arrests Hunt's parents on some BS charges. His parents are just living out on like a farm.
And his uncle. I saw it on a recap. I thought it was just his parents.
I thought it was his parents. His
but apparently it's both of his parents, his uncle. Like, he's trying to really get to him.
Yeah, he's
like,
trying to really.
family.
Yeah, and it's kind of fucked up. It's kind of a pussy move. So Hunt contacts Kittredge from a payphone, which he intentionally allows the IMF to trace the call. He's like, he's got a plan here.
He's got something set up.
Hunt then unexpectedly runs into Phelps, John Voight's character, who tells him how he also survived the shooting. So now we've got two survivors plus Hunt, which we didn't think at first. And he tells him that Kittredge is the mauled, which Hunt seemingly believes because him and Kittredge have not gotten along so well. But Hunt outsmarts Phelps by discovering that the Bible he used had the Drake Hotel in Chicago imprinted on it, which was Phelps' last assignment. There was that scene in the beginning when, like I said, we're getting introduced to these characters, and Phelps was like, I was in Chicago, and they were like, oh, where were you at? He's like, the Drake Hotel. And it must be a fancy, luxurious hotel. I've heard of it. It must be like the Plaza of Chicago, I guess. I don't know. Never been to Chicago. You been?
It's like the hotel that the kid goes to in Home Alone 2.
That's the Plaza.
In Chicago. It is?
Plaza,
okay. Yeah, so it's like the Plaza of Chicago.
Yeah, that's where he runs into Donald Trump, and he shows him where the lobby is.
Yeah. No, I have not ever been to Chicago.
Never been.
Never.
If you're a fan and you've been to Chicago, let us know your thoughts. Cause
if you're a Bulls fan, let us know.
That's fair. Hunt plays along, though, during his meeting with Phelps, pretends to believe him, and they plan on meeting aboard the TGV train, or Bullet Train. Which is
Guys, Bullet Train. Initial thoughts.
We're not talking about that movie. We're just talking about a bullet train. And this train is headed to Paris, where they'll exchange a list with Max. Hunt tells Max where the list is, but Strickle uses a jamming device so she can't activate it. She sends him to the baggage car, where the money and supposedly job are waiting. Hunt disguises himself as Phelps with a face mask, makes him look just like him, where the real Phelps arrives and holds the money at gunpoint. Hunt then sends the evidence to Kittredge, proves that Phelps is the real mole, and Claire tries to reason with her much older husband.
Yes.
Debate time. Do we believe these two could actually be a couple?
This was not what I was expecting as the debate.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting you to be like, did she end up like having like a good character arc, like changing, like looking out for Ethan?
I don't think she had an arc. I think she was.
Where's her arc?
I don't think she had much of one at all.
But instead, you're like, are they a real couple?
No, because like rewatching it, I don't know if I really believe them as a real couple. Was there actually any love there? The age difference.
There was obviously some love at some point, maybe earlier on.
No love lost, no love found, as Eminem would say.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, I just, that scene was somewhat weird to me, like, because before she knows Hunt is...
I was honestly a little bit confused by this scene, like, and each character's motivation here, to be honest.
No, but my thing is, like,
because what's her name? Fucking Max is sending, Ethan to this car. Hunt's disguising themselves as Phelps. The real Phelps arrives. We already knew he was alive. Did his wife know he was alive? There's just a lot going on here that I feel so it doesn't really get unpacked too well. You really gotta,
No. So I think, from what I understood, the Max and Ethan thing makes sense. They're doing a trade off.
Yeah, but
Max leaves the money in the back.
Fucks her over because he gives her the computer and then he has Luther fucking.
But she doesn't know that.
Yeah, but that's what happens.
But he's a spy. Like, that makes sense. Like, he doesn't want her to know
because she's a bad guy. Technically.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to give it to the bad guy,
also,
but he still wants the money.
Her second in command, I don't like. He kind of looked like a young Michael Caine. I didn't like it.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, it would be cool if it was.
If it was Michael Caine, but it wasn't.
It definitely wasn't.
But that makes sense to me. I mean,
right.
it's like a drop off. He has to go in the bag,
like an exchange. Yeah. And then she sends him to the money car, the baggage car.
I think Claire definitely knew that Jim Phelps was alive, even though they don't fully explain it.
Yeah,
I just think
I
think it was known.
All right.
But I think she, like, her
reaction.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
That's what I'm saying.
Because she thought Ethan was Jim, and she's saying basically, like, once we get the money, we should just kill Ethan.
It seems like she's like doing that, or they're doing that stupid thing in movies where it's like a double agent, where it's like.
But even more, it's just Claire's role is really confusing to me.
I agree.
Because she's like, when Ethan gets here, we'll kill him. But then once she finds out that's Ethan, and then the real Jim actually tries to kill Ethan, she's like, no, don't kill him.
She's like, don't kill him. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Really does not make sense.
I don't get her motivations. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the rest of it does make sense. You got to keep in mind, like, it's a spy. Like they're doing some, like, really, like, shady type.
And right
like,
here, it feels very much like a '90s kind of like Like it's obviously 90s, but it's like trying to be like an older, like almost like a 60 James Bond spy movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But anyway, so do we believe them as a real couple?
Yes, I definitely believe at some point they were a real couple. I think maybe Ethan and Claire, hooking out throughout the movie.
That was his Gumar?
No. First of all, if anything, Ethan would have been Claire's Gumar.
True.
But
Ethan wasn't married.
No, I think she was having, like, a fling with Ethan, and she began to, like, get feelings for Ethan, and then,
But she really wanted the money because Phelps had the money.
Well, yeah, but I don't. This is why I'm saying her character is somewhat confusing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She probably just chases the money.
It could be, but I also think there's some part of her that stopped falling in love with Jim Phelps,
yeah.
after she started hooking up with Ethan, and that's how we lead to this
She wants
very confusing, strange climax scene.
She wants that younger dick, potentially.
Possibly, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there.
I wasn't there either, but Tom Cruise or John Voight, there's a big age difference, especially this
Fair.
Anyway, Phelps climbs aboard the top of the train, where Krieger, who's now on Phelps' side / the Evo side, is waiting with the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
So here's the other thing: when does Krieger switch? I know, like right after they steal it in Langley, like he's already acting shady. But when does he like officially link up with Phelps? Was he always with Phelps? Did Phelps contact him first?
They probably had like communication. I would think throughout. I'm assuming.
No,
Obviously,
yeah,
we don't know.
They don't really go into it. We just know Krieger's on the other side for sure now because he's in that chopper.
I think at some point he had to have realized that Hunt didn't give him the actual disc.
Yes. No, well, Hunt lied to him and said, "You think I would take the actual disc and leave it out?"
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. He like successfully tricked him, and then he's like,
"No," but I'm saying I think at some point he figured it out that it wasn't the real one.
Yeah.
And that's when him and Phelps were like, "All right, now we're gonna come up with a plan." And also, I might have missed it. I'm sorry. We mentioned that Claire ended up getting shot, right?
Oh no, I forgot.
Yeah, Phelps shoots her.
That was after the debate time. My note is Claire tries to reason with her much older husband. Debate time. Do we believe these two could actually be a couple? But he kills her. It's pretty funny, though.
They're not a couple anymore.
It's pretty funny, though. They switched real quick.
I'm like, my thing with that is just like I said, very very weird climax scene and end scene for her character.
Yeah.
Just like very confusing on what side she's on, and then her husband just shoots her.
Yeah.
So
he wasn't gonna wait for her to.
No, he was gonna. he was like, "Listen, fine, we'll split the money 2 ways instead of 3. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Krieger, where's the chopper?
Yeah. So then Hunt hooks a line from the chopper to the train,
yes.
which causes Krieger to be trapped under a tunnel, and eventually to start to crash into the Channel Tunnel and be fully blown up via another piece of exploding chewing gum.
This is like an early Fast and Furious scene, like before the Fast and Furious.
The CGI is not great here.
It looks pretty funny though.
It's just pretty funny.
The helicopter looks like it's going like Mach 10.
The helicopter looks like it's like trying to be so big, but it's also just so tiny. Like there's no way it would fit in a fucking tunnel.
Before it goes in the tunnel, it looks like there's no way it's fitting in that.
That's
tunnel.
what I'm saying.
And then once it gets in the tunnel, it's like we just took it in Photoshop and shrunk that bitch down.
I just made it like
bit.
mini version of it.
Also, the helicopter they're using does not look like a spy helicopter. It looks like something like you would take like your wife out in to like propose to her or something.
Yeah, it looks like something that they have in North Carolina or like other countries where like they have no insurance. They're like, yeah, you want to go on a helicopter ride to see the island? Like it looks like one of those kind of helicopters. It's like, yeah, $50.
Yeah.
Pay us in cash.
And then like I said, once they're in the tunnel, it looks like the helicopter's going like Mach 10. Things like flying
crazy.
And then the conductor on the back of the train's just like he's like what is that?
He's like, you can't be in there. No shit.
Phenomenal scene.
Anyway, so the exploding chewing gum kills both Phelps and Krieger.
And Ethan dives off the helicopter in one of those classic like 90s explosions where like they go flying back and he lands on the train like perfectly.
Perfectly, yep. Just as any action hero would. So then Hunt takes Max into custody and recovers the knockless from Strickle.
Yep.
And Hunt and Strickle both get reinstated back into the IMF, which they're like, all right, we're down. We're happy to not be rogue
Ethan's a little skeptical, though.
Ethan's a little skeptical.
He's like, do I really want to... He's like, I don't have to keep running. I'm free now, but do I want to go back and keep working for the IMF?
Right. He doesn't know if you can trust him anymore. So, like you said, the two of them share a beer together. And, they're discussing what they're going to do. Luther's basically like, yeah, I'm going. And, Ethan's thinking about it. But then on his flight home, the flight attendant asks if he is ready to take on a new mission. And that's how it starts. It's like a movie, which tells him the mission. That's kind of how they, play it off.
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Exactly. And that sets us up as a sequel, Mission Impossible 2, which we're going to talk about in a little while. But
do we want to give ratings on each movie?
We can give a rating right here, or a little rating review. Sure.
What would you give it overall? Just the first one.
7.5.
I'd probably go 7.
7.
Honestly.
7's fair.
It's like we said, it's a good starting off for the series, but especially towards the end, like we said, the story for specific characters gets a little confusing.
Yeah, the story's like
everything with
decent
Ethan
overall.
is fine.
The story's decent overall, but there's definitely like one or two parts where you're like, this is just not really
what's happening.
Well. Yeah, exactly.
How did that helicopter fit in that tunnel?
Nah, not even that. Just like I said, like the story just tries to be a little bit too much of like a straight up, I feel like 60s, just like I said, just, you know, double agent this and, you know, this, you know, this happened here, this leader you can't trust. And like I said, it works for the most part, but like, you know, there's definitely some scenes where it does fall a little bit short, but like Sean said, it's a great introduction to Ethan and Luther.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though, like I said, we don't really get Luther's backstory. You know, he's a pretty likable character from his first scene, and you know, he's always a welcome face to see. And definitely a guy I'd love to work with.
I agree.
For sure.
Wish he would be a little bit more of the muscle, though.
A little bit more of a muscle, but
it's all good.
I feel like part of it could be his actor is always playing like big muscle
and he was probably like, I don't want to do that.
And he's probably like, yeah, he's like, I'll be in this movie, but like maybe I want to switch it up. Like I was watching Pulp Fiction the other day, and he plays like a big like boss, like I guess like a mob boss, and like, you know. Yeah. I feel like that's probably what he did for a lot of his career. So, and he's Cobra Bubbles in Lilo and Stitch.
He is, and in The Dark Knight, he plays an inmate.
An inmate, yeah. And he's also in Guardians too.
Which one is he in Guardians too? He's at the funeral at the end, right?
Yeah. So anyway, big shout out to Ving Rhames, and you know, yeah, he probably just want a little switch up, but yeah, no, Mission Impossible 1's good. You know, definitely.
It's a good jumping in point to the franchise.
Exactly.
It definitely makes you want to watch another one afterwards.
It definitely made me like be like, all right, bet I'm definitely down to check out a sequel. Like, right. I didn't think it was perfect or like loved it.
No,
but I was definitely like, I fucked with it. Like, you know, I watched it once last time or once this summer. Both times, definitely, you know, an enjoyable time. So now that we're done doing our review of Mission Impossible 1, we've got a quick hitter.
Quick hitter.
What do we got, Sean?
So our first one of the episode is going to be, what is your favorite action franchise? Me and Cole took this different route. So I accidentally wrote besides Fast and Furious.
Which is fair, and I wrote...
Because we both would probably say Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I wrote, speaking of Mission Impossible, what is your favorite action franchise of all time? You know.
Fast and Furious is definitely... I mean, we've said it to the fans before. This is our... Fast and Furious is what started basically the movie list for us.
Right.
We've seen all of them. You and me have seen pretty much all of them together, at least at some point. Tom has seen all of them with us besides the most recent one, 10 so far. So I think it was pretty obvious that would be our number one.
It is, and it's tough. There's so many different ways I could go with it. And like I said, my answer would probably have to be the Fast and Furious. Might have to do with some recency bias. You got to think these are kind of the action movies we grew up on. The first one came out in 2001. You know, they're still coming out today.
Doing insane stunts just like Ethan.
Yeah, it's kind of our action franchise. Like if we were born a long time ago, it easily would have been the James Bond movies. Even though those still come out during our lifetimes, it's not really the same. You know, the hype around them isn't as much as it used to be. You know, they've kind of been on a hiatus right now after Daniel Craig made his last one.
They're trying to find a new 007.
What's that? Yeah, they're still on
right
the
now.
lookout.
They're on the
search.
search.
They're on the lookout. You know, you can easily go with Marvel. Those all came out during our lifetime, the MCU.
But those are tough to say if they're like tough. A full
they're
action.
Not really
movie.
Straight action. Some are obviously more action.
Yeah.
Some are, you know, they definitely all have, action elements in them, but it's not really, traditional action. It's kind of, pretty much comic book action, which is a little bit different for sure.
I was going to say,
superhero action,
I have a few other honorable mentions. Obviously, the Star Wars movies, John Wick, which I think if Tom was
that
here,
would be Tom's.
even though that would definitely be
Also,
Tom's.
would have to be some recency bias as well.
No, definitely, but those are some pretty solid action movies.
I like them. I like all of them.
The Die Hard movies, the Rambo movies.
Yep.
I know some people would consider the Rocky movies. This one was interesting to me because I've seen the two movies, but then I thought about there's also an animated TV show, so that also makes it an action franchise. The Pacific Rim movies.
Pacific Rim. I don't think those are that popular.
They're not.
Like that much?
I
haven't seen them. So
the first one was okay. The second one I know got bad reviews. It got bad reviews, but I thought it was cool. It had John Boyega in it. It had Scott Eastwood in it. It was a decent movie. But I thought after I saw that in a list of action movies, I was like, oh, it's also considered an action franchise because they also have an animated TV series that I think is on its third season now.
You love Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan is also another one.
Jack Ryan,
but I guess that's a franchise, yeah, because of the movies and the TV show, yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's also a very good one. That would probably be my favorite right now, but it's definitely time biased because I've been watching them recently. The one I have down as my favorite is the Kingsman series.
Oh, okay.
Which we have seen all three of them together. Really solid movies.
Nah, the fuck with them.
Have phenomenal action sequences where the camera tries to stay at like a centered point as they're going. Really good movies.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with that franchise. I didn't like the Kingsman, the third one, nearly as much as the first two, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say
the
it's
first
definitely.
Two were just like honestly, the first two are both like 9 out of 10 people. They're both like pretty top tier.
That's what I was gonna say.
Movies.
The first two are easily 9 out of 10s, and the Kingsman is by far not a bad.
Yeah,
I would put it at like an 8. Even.
All right, yeah,
it's something that like I was definitely completely down the first time to watch, and after watching it, I was like, it doesn't it can't keep up with the other two. But if that had come out first, it probably would have received better reviews. I might have given it a higher rating.
I just expected a little bit more for it.
But that's what I'm saying. You're expecting more because of the other two that you've seen.
Yeah, no, for sure. One of my favorites would be the indie movies.
Those are also.
I haven't seen the new one yet, but I think it's crazy that, like we said, like you mentioned Star Wars, and Harrison Ford didn't love playing Han Solo, but loves
Indy's character he loves.
Loves playing Indy, and it's crazy that the indie movies originally, the first one came out in 1981, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah. I know the first three all came out in the 80s, and then they had the newer one in 2008.
They took a quick break.
And then they took a long break, and then they had another one come out this year in 2023.
Yes.
So it's crazy that those were movies that people of like our parents, or maybe not necessarily our parents, but like
No, I would say our parents.
Yeah,
those are definitely movies I've watched like with my dad.
No, that's what I'm saying.
For sure.
That they like sort of grew up on, and he's still such a popular character today with younger audiences. Indy's really transcended decades, and like I said, those movies always hit, and like never really met anyone that a lot of people don't like Crystal Skull, but never really met anyone who has bad things to say about the first one or the third one. Second one's
got mixed.
Second one's got mixed, yeah, for sure. But
I just found out recently, just interesting fact about those movies. The second one, time wise, takes place before all the other ones.
I did know that. Yeah.
I didn't know that until recently. I was surprised by it. It's supposed to take place a few years before the first one.
Yes, I did. I only found that out recently too. But yes, I actually did know that. That is a good fun fact, though. I bet a lot of I bet hardcore indie fans at all, but softcore indie fans.
The hardcore indie fans listening right now are probably like, of course, you idiots.
I mean, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Cole really wants to comment.
Please.
Please.
No, anyway, the Furious movies came to mind. I definitely...
They're the immediate thought for us.
They're the immediate one. I definitely have love for Star Wars, but, I grew up on the prequels. I'm more of a prequel guy. I don't want to get too much into Star Wars, because we could go into that for a long while.
I could go on to that for days.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I like action movies a lot in general. I feel like, sadly, there's not too many great action franchises that are still making movies. You got like John Wick and not much else.
John Wick, basically, not 100% confirmed, but the franchise, movie-wise, or just speaking on John Wick, be John Wick as the character could be done.
Keanu
we're unsure.
Could be done, yeah, but we're not sure.
Speaking of Keanu, also The Matrix.
The Matrix. Oh, that's good.
But we haven't finished that either.
We haven't.
We gotta watch 3 and 4.
The first Matrix is perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of ways to go with this. It's a tough one, but I don't know. I feel like the action franchise where I probably watch the most is probably Star Wars or the MCU. But like
those are the two that are still like when you think action,
yeah,
you're not thinking of them because they're like, especially because most of them came out as like we were kids. I think like child action.
Yeah,
almost.
A little bit, not all of them.
Not all of them. Yeah,
no, yeah. But, I know what you're saying.
So. But if you guys have favorite action franchise that we didn't name, or even one of the ones we did name, let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what we missed, or what you think. That was the last quick hitter we're ripping right now.
Yeah, but you have an underrated shout out that you wanted to drop before the break.
Yes, sir. Let me get to my underrated shout out. So, if you guys know, we were talking about a character a little bit during this podcast, a Mission Impossible 1. His name is Franz Krieger. So I'm going to give a shout out to his actor. His name is Gene Reno. He appeared in Mission Impossible 1. I personally feel like he is a very unknown and underappreciated actor. Sean, when I mentioned his name, thought it was a girl. So that's very true. I just proves it right there. I personally didn't really know or experience any of his work until one of my boys, Dan, shout out Dan, he recommended that I see the movie Leon the Professional, which is a mob movie. And Gene Reno's the main character of it. And I was very impressed as Reno stole the show as the title character, an Italian hitman working in New York. He has a very interesting heritage as he was born in Morocco. His parents were Spanish, and he moved to France at age 18 to study acting as well as served in the French army. He shortened his full name from Juan Moreno y Herrera Jimenez to Gene Reno and started getting acting jobs in France. He did the voiceover for Mufasa in the French language version of The Lion King. He received praise for the movie Leon the Professional, which went on to gain a cult following. He went on to star in Mission Impossible, famous movie Ronin with De Niro, the 1998 version of Godzilla with Matthew Broderick, the Pink Panther remakes out opposite of Steve Martin, the Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks, Couples Retreat, which was directed and starring Jon Favreau, and continues to get consistent work to this day, even being an older male in his 70s. He's been married 3 times, and his large frame of 6'2" and French accent has made him successful in both serious action movies and comedies alike. I just feel it should be a little bit more of a household name. So that's my underrated shout-out for the day.
All right, cool. One last thing we wanted to do before the break is our secret sensation.
Secret sensation time. Tom would hate us. But
we're going to do it because he's not here.
We don't give a fuck.
You want to go first or you want me to go first?
I got it.
All right, shoot.
So originally I was going to do a different secret sensation that Sean and I were playing in the car just a little bit while ago.
It's going to be a joint one now.
But it's going to be a joint one. So my personal secret sensation is going to be a song from my childhood, Till I Forget About You by Big Time Rush.
I'm respected, bro.
Which I don't know how it came back into the fold. Funny enough, my birthday was about a month ago, and some coworkers of mine said that on my birthday they were going to see the Big Time Rush concert, which was at Jones Beach.
I kind of want to go to the Nickelodeon route now.
Area.
You got me.
But anyway, I was like, I don't know if I want to spend my birthday, see the Big Time Rush. Like I said, they're more of a band, where girls tend to like.
Listen,
it's a little bit more unpopular for a straight male to be into Big Time Rush, but
listen,
we're in some bangers.
We're in secret sensations right now. We're gonna be real about this shit.
Yeah.
They had some bangers.
They had some bangers.
And there's stuff
Till
that
I
definitely
Forget About You is my favorite.
There's
that
definitely some that I want to go you got the occasional time where you're like, I want to just put that on and just vibe. Like if you're just in the car, just like on a drive, whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
Now I want to go to Nickelodeon route. I might do that now.
Well, listen, and then funny enough, when I mentioned that to you, I don't know how I got it brought up to you, but then
because we were going through the music in your car. You're recently added, and it was in the recently added.
And then Sean told me that for some reason Sean vividly remembered the episode of the Big Time Rush show where that song debuts, which was a cool. It seemed like there's a cool story in that episode.
There's some things from your childhood that you just randomly remember. Fact. I remember watching that episode when it came out. I could have been watching it by myself, but I also have a sister. I could have been watching it with my sister.
Don't try to
no, I'm not. I'm not. I just said straight up. The first thing I said straight up was I could have been watching it by myself. I have no idea, but I could have been watching it with my sister. The world may never know. But
we'll have her on the podcast to defend herself.
She's not going to remember this. She's going to be like he was watching it by himself, 100%. All right, my secret sensation.
What do we got?
I'm gonna do a quick Nickelodeon one that I just have in my head, and then I'll give you guys my real one that I had planned. Nickelodeon one. I don't know if anyone remembers the movie Rags with Max Schneider. He ended up becoming like a somewhat not big singer, but he had that song Lights Down Low that was big for like a summer.
Is he related to Dan Schneider? I hope not. Fuck.
I don't believe he is.
Good.
But song in that movie Someday. Fire song. He was also the reason I'm bringing it up is because apparently
I know Someday by Rob Thomas.
Apparently Max Schneider was the opener for Big Time Rush for their concerts because he was also
Jones Beach, or they were also at MSG.
They're
in our area.
No, I know, but it could have just been in general for a few of their because they're on tour. But it's because he was like a big Nickelodeon star at the same time as them.
Oh, was he like the Carter brothers, like Aaron and I think it was Nick Carter.
I think he was.
Like around that time?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. He was in like a specific show around that time. I forget what show.
Okay.
And then he was in the Rags movie.
Was he Max Keeble's Big Day or whatever that movie was with Josh Peck?
I don't remember this. I know this movie. Drake Bell was in this movie with him.
Okay.
He plays like a signing.
An autography?
No, like a guy that signs him to a record deal.
Oh, like a record producer.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
But like
agent,
he has to
maybe?
do it under the radar because like they're trying to keep like his identity a secret. It was a crazy movie. But
Word. I don't remember hearing about this movie. To be
Someday,
honest.
it's fire song. You should
Someday
listen
is
to
the
it.
song.
Someday, yeah.
Okay.
My original, also from my childhood, but this was just a childhood song, "Drops of Jupiter" by Train.
Drop Juice
Fire song.
Fire song. I think Tom said that's the only Train song he likes.
That's a hot take.
I know.
He also doesn't like Secret Sensations, so
Yeah, he doesn't like the category. His boy Jake, who we had on, liked the category.
really liked the category.
Yep.
I thought it was fire.
Yeah.
And then
He's not happy with how many views Bullet Train got, but maybe you guys.
we
can
need
help.
more, please. If you hear this and you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Just get the view numbers up. Okay, and then we have
We have a joint one.
We have a joint one. I have a second joint one that I'm just going
Okay.
to bring up really quick. I'm not going to go too deep into it. You're going to say yes immediately. But first, we'll do the one that you know about. So the first one is called Author. The Author. Excuse me. It's by Livingston.
Livingston.
Not Sean Livingston. His name's just Livingston.
Can't be his full name.
I'm pretty sure he's like a TikTok star. He started like putting out parts of this song before he released the full thing on TikTok, and then he released the song on Apple Music, all that. Me and Cole started listening to it on the ride back to prepare to record. Fire song.
Yeah, no, I like that song.
And then I know for a fact you're gonna be like, hell yeah. This is because
you gotta save some for later.
me and Cole have been on a little bit of a grind of listening to music from different Spider-Man stuff. Self Love by Metro Boomin.
Oh, that's not secret. I
don't have to keep it a secret there. I'm just saying
I
we've been listening to it heavy.
I know, and I have no embarrassment about that.
I don't either.
I would bump that song in front of a girl on a first date.
Let's bump it
I
right
feel like it'd
now.
be a good first date song.
We're gonna bump it on the quick break. But that's our secret sensations for today. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna jump into Mission Impossible 2. Dude.
Just got done chilling.
We're back from the break, so we're gonna jump into Mission Impossible 2. So what do you got, Cole?
Yes, sir. You guys are lucky to get 2 movies in one. So I'm going to use some quick background info on Mission Impossible 2. Obviously, it's a sequel to the highly successful and previously mentioned Mission Impossible 1. Directed by Chinese action filmmaker who previously directed big action movies in America, Hard Target, Broken Arrow, and my personal favorite, Face Off, which I know you have not seen, Sean.
No, I have not.
Tom and I are big fans of it, so Tom would definitely get mad at you if
He'd be
you
yelling
haven't
at me
seen
right
it.
now. Sean, you have not seen Face Off yet? Are you kidding me?
Nick Cage and John Travolta. It's pretty fine.
Nicolas Cage?
I love Nick Cage.
We miss you, Tom.
What?
I said we miss you, Tom.
We do. So it brings back Cruz and Ving Rhames as Luther, while adding some more big names, including Brendan Gleeson and Anthony Hopkins in supporting roles. Cruz, in his usual badass mindset, insisted on free solo climbing at Dead Horse Point State Park in Moab, Utah, with no stunt doubles, just a harness and a thin wire, as he felt it was the perfect way to reintroduce the character, even though the filmmakers felt this was a very dangerous stunt for him to pull.
This man is insane.
This man is on another level.
Unhinged.
Fun fact, this film's original score was composed and conducted by legend Hans Zimmer. And this was the highest grossing movie of the year 2000 when it was released.
I thought you were going to say it was the highest grossing Mission Impossible movie.
No,
I was going to say that is not true.
year 2000, Sean.
Well, what else came out in 2000?
I don't know. Look it up. You are the one with the laptop.
That's very fair.
Look up
All right, you keep going.
Look up what else came out in 2000.
All right, you keep going.
All right, I'm going.
I'm going to look up some.
No worries. So, plot summary. We're starting off on a plane here. We've got Dr. Vladimir Nekrovich, a biogenetic scientist. He sends a message to Dmitri, which is Ethan Hunt's cover, doing that classic face mask changing thing that the Mission Impossible movies love to do. That Biosite Pharmaceuticals forced him to develop a biological weapon to benefit from the cure, so the deadly Chimera virus, which supposedly is actually real and could be used as a bioweapon, which is evidenced by the Soviet Union's attempts in the late 1980s and early 1990s to do so before they were shut down. He injects himself with this chimera and carries its remedy/antidote, which is called Bellerophon, which is based on Greek hero Bellerophon, who was a son of Poseidon and Eurynomy, in a bag on the plane on his way to America. So Dr. Vladimir is killed after telling the IMF about Biosite Pharmaceuticals' nefarious plans to unleash the bioweapon/virus out in the open, and the IMF believes that rogue agent Sean Ambrose is probably responsible. Not to be confused with the Sean that we're recording on today.
Sean B.
Yeah.
Real quick, some of the other 2000 movies. The first X-Men.
Okay.
Gladiator, which surprises me that didn't beat it. What?
Coming out with the sequel. They are.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I'm very surprised that didn't beat it.
No, fair. That's fair.
And
must have been a big streaming.
Tom would be sad that this didn't beat it. American Psycho.
Yeah, that makes sense that it didn't beat it.
And Cull's going to be mad that this didn't beat it. Memento.
And it makes sense that it didn't beat it.
And then
probably my favorite Nolan movie.
The Patriot, which was a big revolution movie.
And,
yes.
What's his name? Heath Ledger.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, no, it kind of makes sense that Mission Impossible 2 tops those. I feel like, like you said, those are notable. But like you said, the only one who you'd think would probably top it is Gladiator, Yeah.
In
terms of, you're just thinking box office, like blockbusters, those are the ones that, I feel like American Psycho and Memento definitely make sense. Those were, pretty relatively low budget movies,
True.
I don't think they were expected to go crazy. They got critical acclaim, but, didn't go crazy at the box office. I feel like it makes sense.
Right.
So, word. So now we're up to Sean Ambrose. But now we're actually flipping back right here to that first scene, that stunt that I mentioned. Ethan is interrupted on his vacation as he is told that they need him for this mission, even though he's, just rather be hanging off the side of a cliff in Utah. And
with no equipment.
With no equipment and without telling the IMF where he is.
And also,
because that wouldn't be a vacation.
Self-destruct in 5 seconds.
And the message was self-destruct in 5 seconds. He's told he can select his own team, which, that's what he wants. But one of them must be Naya Nordhoff Hall, played by Thondi Newton, a professional petty thief in Spain, who is, conveniently enough, the ex-girlfriend of Sean Ambrose. So that's why they...
What a coincidence.
That's why they really need this bitch. I'm going to call her a bitch because she kind of sucks. In my opinion. In this movie. Right. Yeah. Her character sucks. Not saying anything about her actress. Her actress is solid. I've seen her in a lot of shit.
Yeah, again, this is another... so far, what I'm learning from the Mission Impossible movies is the female leads always have, some really, weird role where, either, they have, a super confusing scene or, with her, it's, you really don't know what her intentions are, for the majority of the movie,
yeah,
she's a thief, but they're not going to use her as a thief.
They're using her
because
girlfriend.
But then why even make such a big deal in the beginning that she's a master thief? It's oh, she's a master thief. By the way, you're going to use none of her thieving skills.
Master Chief.
They could have just been that was his ex-girlfriend.
True. Yeah, and then
she has experience with what he does.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say the whole scene where Hunt recruits Naya after he gets into a bath with her, which is very sexual.
It definitely was.
It didn't need to be, I don't think.
It's Mission Impossible. The first time you meet them, they're gonna make it somewhat sexual. Did the same thing with Claire in the first one.
Yeah, it's very sexual. And then he lets her steal a necklace, but then he bails her out, and it's he's no, she's fine. She's with me.
He's we were just examining it, just taking a look at it, and then she starts walking out with it. He's don't you want to put that back?
No, you have to give it back. She's why would you catch me stealing it and then get me off the hook, but then not let me leave with it? Which is fair. It's a fair question.
It's wild card.
And then he he kind of tries to pull the moves on her, but then she leaves. But then the next day he chases her down on a highway, a Pacific Coast Highway looking thing with cliffs.
Yes.
And he almost runs her car off the fucking highway.
Wild card.
Wanted to recruit her to the team.
Ethan Hunt, absolute rebel.
But then he saves her life at the last second, and then she's very turned on by him, so they have sex.
She's you almost killed me.
Yeah,
I'm down.
I'm horny for you. Then they have sex, and then she agrees to basically be undercover, an undercover CI. But even Ethan is I just met you, but I really don't want to ask you to do this, but I'm gonna.
And we need none of your thieving skills. Again, makes no sense.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. But we're going to roll with it. Oh, my bad. I'm skipping shit.
Skipping shit.
Breaking shit. All right, so then Ethan, of course, is going to recruit Luther Ving Rhames. I'm down.
Yes, boy.
But this time he needs a new pilot.
Why does he always need a pilot? That's the other thing.
Because he can't fly in this universe. I told you.
He's a
and
fucking
he goes to
idiot.
different fucking countries. He needs a pilot.
If he's going to different countries, though, these guys are helicopter pilots. They're not going to a different... They're going on a plane. He's not flying the plane.
He might.
He's not. They would show that. They never do. They're always like, he needs a pilot. And then, like, also, the pilot always ends up doing something else.
The pilot has to help him.
I'm the pilot.
He has to get high up so he can get into these buildings. That's what he needs them for. Because Ethan Hunt doesn't go into buildings normally.
You didn't do much flying until the last scene in the first movie.
Down through them. That's how he gets to the buildings.
I'm just saying, if we rewatch the third one, and they're like, he's like, I need my team. I need a pilot.
I don't think there's a pilot in the third one.
There better not be.
I don't think there is.
Jeremy Renner's not a pilot.
Jeremy Renner's not in the third one.
He's in the fourth one.
I know.
Not a pilot in the fourth one.
Good.
Thank God.
All right. So then they have to. So the pilot, he meets with Luther and Billy in Australia in kind of this remote meetup. Where
in the outback.
Yeah, it's in the outback. Where Biosite has labs. They have their labs in Australia, and that's where Ambrose, he lives in Australia. So Naya suddenly shows up at Ambrose's waterside villa, and he doesn't really question why she just
makes absolutely no sense. She's like, I'm back. He's like, all right, bet.
And then he accepts her back to live with him. He gives her a hype room while he also makes her get naked and try on a dress.
Yeah, it's really weird. And the whole time, his boy,
his right hand man,
Hugh Stamp.
Yep, I had
the whole time he's like,
he doubts his loyalty.
Yeah, he's like,
why is she here?
Because he's smart. He's like, where the fuck did she come from? She's been gone for months. And then Sean's like, you're questioning me, and he's like, I'm not really questioning you. I'm just like, why is she back? Yeah, why is she back? And he's like, no, you're questioning me. And he cuts off the dude's finger.
His finger's so fucked.
Or not the whole, like at the tip of the finger, but
like
still,
half
it's like,
of it.
Yeah, he's.
Enough where
what is going on?
Enough where like he's not gonna have use of that finger for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and it's like
sucks.
The next scene you see him, he's got like a full like hand bandage.
Yeah, it's on his right hand. I think his dominant hand too.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter which hand it's on.
If he lost the finger, it's gonna suck.
That's what I'm saying.
But still, just. He's like,
our
this woman has been missing.
This
woman has been missing from my life for months. I'm gonna accept her back with open arms and no explanation.
I mean, she's
try this dress.
I don't know if she's hot enough where I'm throwing away everything for her.
I don't know if she's hot enough where I'm cutting my friend's finger off.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just weird.
I feel like Ambrose. You can kind of tell from the beginning he's not a great villain. Honestly, I like his right hand man Hugh better. I feel like he had more potential. Would you say?
I mean, I would.
All right, fair enough. So then we're
he's not his right-handed man anymore because now he's one finger down. Fucking bullshit.
So then we go to a horse event, which I thought the scene had cool potential. It kind of looked like we were at the Belmont, which I've been to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Name dropping.
Yeah. Ambrose meets with Biosite CEO John C. McCloy, played by Brendan Gleeson. Shows him a video of the chimera affecting Dr. Sergei Gradowski so that he can blackmail McCloy into cooperating, with whatever he needs. Naya, at this horse event, sneaks away from Ambrose because she wants to place a bet, with his money, of course.
Let's fucking bet on it.
Which, betting on horses is pretty fun. You get a nice rush, so, I respect it. Anyway, but when she does that, she sneaks away video footage to give to Ethan. Video footage that Sean just got from McCloy, which gives more information about Chimera. Which they learn that Chimera. This scene's actually pretty cool when they kind of have the computer scene going into the virus about Chimera. I thought the whole horse race scene was pretty cool. It has a 20-hour dormant period where then, the host gets sicker and then it causes the host to die. You need that antidote, Bellerophon. It needs to be used in that 20-hour window in order to be effective. And unfortunately, when she returns the envelope after placing her bet, when she returns it into Ambrose's possession, she puts it in the wrong jacket pocket. I forget which one it is, or either the right or the left, but
it's the jacket.
It's the jacket, Richie April.
We've been dropping some Sopranos quotes.
We're really into it right now. We're gonna do an episode.
We're gonna do some episodes.
Donnelly's gonna be in it. AD's gonna be.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, so yeah, she puts it back in the wrong jacket pocket, which is pretty stupid of her. Because she's very confident. I feel like Ethan asks her, he's like, which pocket did you take it out of? And she's like,
It's a good thing they didn't take her for her thieving abilities because she's fucking up as a thief.
I don't know how you fucking you right or left. Fucking get it right. Like
idiot.
Yeah, idiot. Anyway, IMF learns that Nekrovich purposely injected himself with Chimera to smuggle the virus to get out of Biosite because he worked for them, and they were forcing him to make it. But now Ambrose and his team hold all the Bellerophon, which is not good. Ambrose then decides to pose as Ethan in that classic Mission Impossible, face mask style. And he learns from Naya here of the IMF plans to destroy the virus from inside Biosite. So now we're doing kind of another Mission Impossible 1 scene where, this is where, like I said, Hunt needs the pilot because he's going to drop down into the building and, fuck shit up in that building.
He could have just hired someone to do that for the night.
No, he needs a pilot. He needs a trustworthy pilot. He's an IMF pilot.
He's a disavowed.
Is this Billy disavowed too?
No, he's probably not.
I don't think he's
He might
disavowed.
not be. Yeah.
So anyway, Ethan gets into the building sneakily, just in time. Does he get in before he would have got chopped to death? Yeah, killed to death. But he gets in. He fucks shit up. He just destroys all but one sample of Chimera. He fights with Ambrose. There's a gunfight with Ambrose and his men, where then Naya steals that one last sample of Chimera. She's trying to kind of be the hero here, which I don't really understand why she was trying to do.
She's been fucking up so much.
She's been fucking up, like I said, already at least twice.
Also, the gunfight, just to point out, is sick.
It's sick. No, it's a classic John Woo directed action. It's pretty.
Well,
cool.
I was gonna say it's very obvious that it's somewhat like copying the Matrix. Like they do a lot of slow motion, like
avoiding the bullets.
Obviously, like he's not. They don't do like the dodging and everything.
Yeah.
But like he's like sliding across the floor. He's got dual pistols. He's just like firing off randomly.
Yeah, there's
still a really cool scene.
But it is a cool scene. And it's nice because it's like right at like the one hour-ish point of the movie where, like I said, was that scene in the first one where Ethan also drops down. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Which I thought was a cool nod to the first one. So anyway, so Naya has the one last sample of Chimera, and her bright idea here is to inject herself with this deadly virus to prevent Ambrose from simply killing her and grabbing it. So Ambrose needs the Chimera, and Naya decides to grab it, and instead of just throwing it towards him or destroying it herself, she injects herself with it.
I mean, this is a little smart. She knows she won't get killed then.
Yeah, but
it's a little smart.
Is it worth the risk of dying from this virus or just getting a little gunshot wound right there?
Her options are die right now or maybe die in 20 hours.
Probably die in 20 hours. Ambrose has all the Bellerophon. But you have no guarantee of getting it back from him. Making a new one.
But she has a guarantee that if she throws it away, she's getting a bullet to the head and definitely dying. So it makes a little bit of sense.
I don't agree with it. I would not have done that in this situation.
You would have gotten a bullet to the head then. She was standing right next to him. It's not like she was...
She was a couple feet away.
But they were like surrounding them, and she had no way of getting out.
She should have thrown it at his eyes. Then the virus is in his eyes. He can't see. I'm out of that. Bitch.
You realize there's like 15 other people with him.
It's
not
dark,
if he gets it in the eye. Action? If he gets it in the eye, they're not going to be like our boss has it in the eye. Let's all stop and let them leave.
In movies, they do shit stupid.
Not
shit
in this.
Like that.
Not in this.
So anyway, Ethan's like, fuck. What is my girl doing?
What are you doing?
Shout out to Marco, our driver's ed teacher.
Yes, sir. 1 of 4.
Yeah, they didn't like us too much. We kept getting cycled through. So Ethan escapes the lab in a gunfight, and he starts his watch to put a 20-hour window on Naya's life.
It's kind of funny.
He's like upset that he's doing it.
Yeah, no, he looks more like pissed. He's like, this fucking bullshit. It's like he already had it preloaded on the watch. He's like, fuck.
He's like, I knew someone close to me.
I didn't want to have to use this.
Was going to inject themselves, and I was going to have this 20-hour window.
He's like, I had to have it preloaded, ready to
go. So Ambrose takes Naya with her, but then he allows her to just wander the streets of Sydney, Australia, where she's kind of in a daze. But anyway, he kind of actually has a smart plan here where he intends to trigger Chimera in Australia. He orders the CEO McCloy to hand over enough control of Biosite stock to Ambrose so that he can massively benefit from both the profits and the demand that's going to be needed for Bellerophon. So, that pharmaceutical company's, stocks are going to skyrocket. He's going to make a shit ton of money.
Going to make bank.
Which is, pretty smart. I'll give Ambrose credit for that. But, of course, Ethan's team infiltrates this remote meeting just in time, steals the samples of Bellerophon, and takes out many of Ambrose's men in the process. Naya goes to a cliffside where she plans to kill herself because she doesn't want the virus to spread to, all these civilians in Australia. Ethan and Ambrose ride some motorcycles. They have a fist fight, and Ethan, of course, kills Mans. Luther injects Naya with the Bellerophon just in the nick of time. The IMF clears her record, and Ethan is allowed to continue his vacation with her. And seemingly this is going to be his girl forever. But we know
until the next movie.
Until the next movie, where she'll no longer be around.
And they'll have absolutely zero mention on where she went.
So I might have not taken the best notes on kind of that final scene. Overall, it was a pretty good action sequence. I felt like anything you might want to add or anything I might have missed on kind of that last action scene. When he breaks up the meeting. Funny enough, in the meeting, there's a doctor there.
Yes.
The Asian dude. That's the director of the movie. That's John Woo making a little cameo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you
which
told
I thought
me.
Was cool.
So
yeah, that was, any other thoughts on that? I know something happens to his right hand man.
That's what I was going to talk about.
I forgot to mention that, so you got
Hugh goes after Ethan when he when they realize he's there. He's like, Sean Ambrose is like, kill him, and he's like,
is that
classic right hand man. He's like, yes sir, I'm going to go take him down. I got you. And then we see a little bit of their fight. Don't see how it ends. But then they go back into the room that Ambrose is in, and John McCloy is in, and all of them. And we see that Hugh has taken down Ethan and captured him. And as Sean is like talking to him, he's giving the classic like bad guy monologue, and Ethan's not talking. And then Hugh's like, I think I broke his jaw, so he won't be able to talk. And then Ambrose ends up shooting Ethan
like 5 times.
Yeah, he just empties.
Yeah, right all in his chest.
And then we discover that it wasn't Ethan, it was Sean Hugh, wearing one of the classic
Mission
Impossible like face masks that makes you look like it's the real person when it's not.
When in the movie it's just a different actor.
Yeah. And so Sean ended up killing his right-hand man, and Ethan...
Inadvertently, though.
Yeah, inadvertently.
He cut his finger off very
that's how he notices.
Yeah.
He looks at the hands, and he sees that one of the hands has a bandage around the finger that he cut off. So... and then we find out that Ethan was wearing a mask as Hugh, and that's how he was able to steal the Chimera virus and then get out.
And then do the classic Tom Cruise run out of there.
Yeah, do the class. He's going like full speed. This is like that's where I'll give one of the pluses for this movie. Full speed with that run.
And then when he hops on the motorcycle, I felt like that scene was pretty cool too. When they like pan out and he's trying to like get out of there.
Yeah, but I felt like that scene was a little too long. They're like,
bit.
They're like, we have to get to her and give her the antidote, and it's just like it gets to the point at one point where he's just like driving through like an almost like a rural area, like with like a few cars. And I'm like, all right, why is this needed? Like, just like we don't need all of this. Just like occasionally like diving through traffic and whatever.
No, but they were fighting on the motorcycles for a little bit. They were chasing each other.
No, they were, but there's like one point.
You're saying like after that.
There's
after Ambrose is dead.
No. During the motorcycle, there's maybe like a minute long, not even, maybe a little bit less, but it's just like him just on the motorcycle, like bobbing and weaving, but like there's no action. It's just him. I'm like, why was that needed?
Fair.
But the overall fight, when they end up like jousting basically with the motorcycles, and then they both just like jump off and like body slam into each other and like make an X in the air and then just like dive. And then the actual fight scene is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Overall.
I had a little no, well, it's obviously not a nod, but because it came out before, but it a little bit reminded me of the car chase scene at the end of the first Fast and Furious where Brian's hunting down Johnny Trent.
And Dom fucking
fucks up Lance with the side of his door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Savage.
So it reminded me a little bit of that. And like I said, those movies are, 2000, 2001. So it felt like
very similar.
It felt like, a little bit similar kind of camera angles and just like the way that it was kind of following, those sort of action
No
car
one in
chase
Fast
fight
and Furious
sequences.
runs like that, though.
No, there are not many people running those scenes. It's car driving.
That's fair.
Don't
let
let him
Dom
get into
out of
a
the car. We'll be talking about that when we eventually do Fast X.
Fast X, baby. You'll hear our thoughts.
All right. Any final things about Mission Impossible 2? We'll give quick ratings as well.
Overall, I was disappointed.
Say that.
Which is frustrating because, like I said, I had high expectations. John Woo is a good director. Like, if you see some of those other movies I mentioned, I bet you'd fuck with them.
It's a very tough second movie because it's like you get out of the first one and like we said, we're like, all right,
feeling pretty good.
You're very excited to see the next one. You see the next one, you're like, all right, I don't want to watch any more of them now. That one's kind of sucks.
I wouldn't say I don't know if I want to watch it anymore. I was just like, it definitely like had me less motivated to watch more. Because like we said, there still is some good things in here. I don't think any of it's really Tom Cruise's fault. It's not like there's any bad acting from him.
No, there's not. But there was just a lot of scenes where, like, even just like when we were watching it, like when she injected herself, like we were just like, what the fuck?
I know.
And like I remember when she first went back to Ambrose, I said to you, I'm like, is there like a cover story? And you're like, nah, she just went back. It's like, all right. I guess that's how it's going.
She just takes a boat there.
And then when they said like we don't need her for her thief skills, I had in my head like she's probably gonna try and like use her thief skills somehow. And I mean, she did.
Sort of.
But she fucked up and put it in the wrong pocket. So, like, it's just...
It seems like not a very hard thing to fuck up.
Yeah. Like, and I get that was, like, supposed to be, like, a point in the movie, but it's like, if she's supposed to be this master thief, she wouldn't be fucking things up like that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So,
yeah. I wanted better out of her, too.
Yeah, like Cole said, just overall not, just not the best follow-up after the first one. Rating wise, I'm probably gonna give this one like a 6 out of 10.
Oh, I was gonna give it lower, so I
might give it lower. I was gonna say 5.5, but I thought you were gonna go higher and be like, damn, that's brutal.
I was gonna go low.
You were gonna go lower than 5?
Well, listen, I give it a 2 stars on Letterboxd, so it's like a 4 out of 10, maybe 4.5.
What did I give it?
I don't think it's a 5 though. I think it's like a 4.5.
Let me check what I gave it on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I was disappointed by it, And like I said, I like the director a lot. Like I said, I feel like if you saw a
Was this one of his earlier movies?
No, he made
one of his later.
His later American movies, yeah. He's done a lot of Chinese action movies. He's done a lot of like movies with Jackie Chan and shit. But no, this is after Face Off. It's after Hard Target and Broken Arrow. Those were like 93, 96, and 97. This came out in 2000. Okay. So they got like a director who's had success with American action movies before, like commercially and critically. You know what I mean? Like he's good at action sequences, and he just didn't hit here.
I also gave this.
But he didn't write it; he directed it.
I also gave it 2 stars on Letterboxd. So you know what? You're right. I'm also
give it a 6 if you
No,
want
I'm also gonna give it a 4. I was trying to be like.
Give it a 4.5.
I was gonna try and be like.
It's under a 5, but it's close to a 5.
I was gonna try and give it some hope, but like honestly, the only like super like solid scenes for me that are like memorable are him jumping off the helicopter and through the grate, almost dying.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
And the last sequence, him stealing the Chimera, the motorcycle chase, and then the last fight.
Yeah,
but
yeah, the whole pharmaceutical virus thing. There's like 1 or 2 points where I was like somewhat interested. Like I said, the only good thing about the villain was the part where he was trying to take over the whole stock and just like I was like, all right, that was another thing.
Like they go into it and then they go nowhere with it.
Yeah, exactly. The villain kind of sucked. The girl kind of sucked. I thought Brendan Gleeson was underused as a CEO because he's actually a really good actor. He's just not in it a lot. Anthony Hopkins was severely underused. He's the new IMF director. He's basically, like Phelps, like John Voight's character. And John Voight was in a decent amount of Mission Impossible 1. And
fun fact about
fucking, what's his name? He's barely in it.
Fun fact about Anthony Hopkins.
Fun fact.
Originally, he was not going to play the Mission Commander. His name is Mission Commander Swanbeck.
Okay.
It's supposed to be Ian McClellan.
Oh.
And he ended up turning it down. So they were like, all right, we'll go with Anthony Hopkins.
So maybe respect him.
Two British
very famous British actors who probably
playing an American.
Yeah. Have probably each been in over like 200 movies. They're like they've been in fucking a shit ton, and they're in like their 80s now, and fucking they're still working. Yeah. So no, that's cool though. But this one's a disappointment. And it's pretty well known as a disappointment. I think my friend David, he's a huge Mission Impossible fan, huge movie buff, definitely bigger than me, honestly. He loves Mission Impossible movies. A bunch of the newer ones he's given 5 stars, but he's also not a fan of Mission Impossible 2. And like I said, he's a much bigger fan of the franchise than I am. He's seen all the newer ones. So
right.
It's pretty known, even if they're hardcore fans, that this is like the one quote unquote miss. And that's when you have a franchise that's whatever 7, 8, 9. It's gonna be 9 movies long. It's bound that they're gonna have one that's a miss. So
we're gonna give this one a 4 on trash.
A 4 on trash,
as Tom would say.
And like I said, I feel like maybe as the sequel, as just the second one was maybe the most ideal time to get the kind of trashy one out of the way.
And move on.
And just move on. Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna go back to another quick hitter.
Yes, sir.
So the quick hitter we have now is, what is a movie that you are very conflicted on how you feel about it, the movie? So my example I'm going to give to you is, there is a movie that came out in, I believe, 2017. I'm going to look it up while I'm talking about it real quick.
Yeah. No, you're good.
It's called Bright. And
about 2017, yeah.
It wasn't even released in theaters. It was just released straight to Netflix. It's a Netflix original. 2017, yes. Starring Will Smith, Joel Edgerton, and to me, it was a cool take. It's this interesting movie about. It's supposed to take place in like
premise. You mean, not movie?
Premise. Sorry. It's supposed to take place in like a present day, but like orcs and elves and like all of these like somewhat like mystical like things you would think from like The Hobbit, stuff like that, are living in present day with humans. And Joel Edgerton plays an orc who's a cop named Jacoby.
What is an orc? I don't know what that is.
It's like
I know what he looks like.
It's like one of like the big like buff like monster type things. Like in this, they just kind of have like a human look. They just like painted blue, and like they have like bigger teeth, stuff like that.
Is it anything similar to like a minotaur?
Somewhat, but not very.
Because minotaurs are huge.
It's not that big.
But they're kind of man-looking.
Yeah, but this is like,
all right. I like
they have the build of a guy, but like they were just using like different facial.
Kind of looked like he had like an alien face.
Yeah, somewhat.
He kind of looked like the Skrulls from
a little bit.
From Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
and
Secret Invasion.
Yep.
But
it's called an orc. He's called an orc. Okay.
So Joel Edgerton is Jacoby, and Will Smith plays his partner. Will Smith is the basically the main character of the movie. Jacoby is the other supporting main character. And there's like this whole crime thing about a crime, like people stealing a stick that ends up being a wand, but it's not like a wand like you would think, like fairies, like stuff like that. It has like these powers that are almost like Star Wars, like Jedi powers.
Okay.
Like you can like use the Force, like all these different things.
Is it kind of like The Ring in the Lord of the Rings?
Somewhat,
movies? Yeah, a little similar.
And supposedly there's only a few people that are able to control it, and most of the time they end up being like elves or like a specific. I think it's normally specifically elves.
Okay.
But these two cops end up finding one of them, and they end up finding an elf that doesn't speak English, and they have to like protect her through like the streets of Los Angeles, basically, like while other crime families and like dirty cops are trying to take it back. And it's like there's crazy action sequences in it, and at the end you find out Will Smith is able to use the wand somehow. It's a crazy movie. From what I've seen, has got terrible reviews, really bad reviews. But like I watched it, and through it I'm like, this is interesting. But while I'm watching it, I'm like, this is super interesting. But it's not a good movie.
Right.
But I'm still very interested in it.
I hear you.
So like,
would you give it like a 2.5 on Letterboxd?
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 2.5 or a 3. Yeah. But if someone was like, should I watch this? I'd still probably be like, probably not.
So you do 2.5 or 3, not the like.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. That's
so
fair.
Like, it's one of those things where like I would probably give it like a 2.5, 3 on Letterboxd. So like, like probably around a 7 out of 10.
Right. Okay.
Maybe a little bit lower, like 6.5.
6.
Okay. But if like I know someone's like a big movie like buff and they're like, should I watch this movie? I'd probably be like, save yourself. Don't watch this. Like, honestly.
And note to the wise: if Sean says save yourself for a movie, it's not that.
Yeah,
great.
I tend to like. I tend to like most movies. Not all of them. There's been some that I'm like, all right, I'm not even finishing or not watching at all. But
yeah,
most of the time, if I know I'm not gonna like a movie, I'm not even gonna turn it on.
No,
there's no point.
That's fair. No, I remember we were talking about Letterboxd, and we were like, we were bringing that up a little too much, but it's fair. We were doing like
sponsor us.
We were doing like we were going through like our diaries, and like you can like filter it and do like lowest ratings first.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, you barely have any like 1-star, 1.5-star movies. I'm like, yeah, because I try not to watch movies that I think are going to be bad or I'm not going to like. Does it happen every once in a while?
Of course.
But like that's not my intention. Like I want it to be at least a 3
Yeah,
star.
you're hoping it's going to be a
like,
good movie, and it just doesn't hit sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'm like that's why I don't have a lot of it. Like there's definitely plenty of movies I've watched in the past where I would give a 1 star, but I'm not going to fucking rewatch those and log those because like I said, not really trying to get 1 star movies in my life.
Say that.
It's not the move. All right, so was that everything you had on Bright? And I remember you used to say Bright in a funny way. You were really excited when it was coming out. Bright. That's what you'd say. Shout out to Todd.
And it had a fire song. It had a song with MGK, Baby Rexha, and
MGK was making music back then.
It was 2017.
I felt like you only started making music like 2 years ago.
No, he's been making.
No, I don't know.
He's been making music since like 2014.
Really?
It just wasn't like super
I know like
hot.
2 of his songs.
And yeah, but this song was like attached to the movie, and like when you look up like the album for it, the actual movie is the
soundtrack.
Yeah, like the soundtrack picture. It's
yeah.
Machine Gun Kelly, Ex Ambassadors, and Baby Rexha. The song is called Home. Another
Okay.
secret sensation for those.
It's
just a regular song that was in the movie. It's a pretty solid song. You should check it out.
Nah, I hear you. All right, so we've got enough on Bright there. I've never seen it. I don't have any opinions of it. I remember when I saw the trailer, I was definitely intrigued by the premise. I was like, I'll check it out with you, Sean. And then when I heard it was bad, I was I'm not so motivated, but I still might check it out. And
I'm pretty sure I also just watched it on like a day I was sick.
You watched it on your own, yeah, which was all right. I wasn't mad. I wasn't like itching to watch it.
But the thing was, I wasn't either. I think one day I was just sick and I was laying in bed and I was like, everyone else is at school, like, I'm not gonna play Xbox. People are might as well just turn this on,
just throw on Bright.
See what happens. And I was watching. I'm like, all right, this is interesting, but it's not good. There's one scene in the whole movie that I was like, this scene is fantastic, and then the rest of it I was like, all right, that's really.
All right. So I'm gonna jump into mine. I didn't really write or do too much research about it before, but I think I can mostly go off my memory here. Mine's gonna be Minority Report.
Okay.
Minority Report. You ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, it's actually another Tom Cruise movie.
Okay.
So this is set in the future. I believe it's in Los Angeles is where the setting's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, I don't know how many years in the future, but pretty futurized here.
Maybe it's taking place on the other side of town from Bright.
Maybe. And it has a really cool opening scene. So in the opening scene, there's a father. It's a mother who's about to murder her husband because she finds out about his infidelity. He's cheating on her. And Tom Cruise is sent in because he's part of this police force where in the future now they can predict crimes and stop them before they happen. So they have Tom Cruise enter, as the cop, and he stops this crime before happening. And then after that happens, it produces a Minority Report, the name of the movie. And then basically, as the movie goes on, and Tom Cruise is living his life, and he's talking to like his boss, the police commissioner, who's played by Max von Sydow. He's a famous German actor. He's in a lot of movies. Badass name. Sounds like a villain name, but that's his real name, which I think
maybe he's a villain in real life.
He's a villain in a bunch of movies. You'd probably recognize him. He's in Shutter Island. He's in Minority Report. He's in Rush Hour 2.
Okay.
He's in a lot. Like, I feel like you might recognize
him. I'll check him out.
Yeah, he's in a lot of shit. He's in The Exorcist. That's what he's most known for.
Like the original?
The original Exorcist, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I said, you definitely might recognize him. So anyway, so he's talking to him, and then so the girls, it's gonna sound a little weird. The girls that produce these Minority Reports are like half human, but like they like are sent like underwater in like this like tank thing. They got like tubes, kind of like Matrix shit going on. Like when he wakes up, in that
from the dream.
Yeah, in the Matrix, it's kind of like that shit going on. Like they kind of have them like submerged underwater, so like they can like work and like produce like see what's going on in the world and like what's it called, and produce all these Minority Reports going on. So Colin Farrell's also a big character in it, and at one point Tom Cruise is just like, there's 3 of them, and apparently they need all 3 of these girls to like produce the accurate Minority Report. So then Tom Cruise enters at one point and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna break out one of these girls and save her, because he's like, I don't fuck with this system, like I don't fuck with like what's going on here. So he breaks one out. They like dive through the water thing. He gets out, and then the whole rest of the movie. And like I said, all that was pretty good. That's like the first maybe like 45 minutes or so, and then the movie just kind of really fell off. It kind of went flat for me. Like Tom Cruise like brings this girl with him all around town. He's trying to find out about her origin story. How she got started in this very strange and niche specified job that she's doing. And like I said, the whole rest of the movie, he's just trying to, make sure that she's, free, and that he's, getting her escaped freely. And I don't know, I just had really, mixed feelings. I thought it was a really cool premise. Like I said, I was really, brought into the movie from the beginning. Okay, like I said, stack cast: Tom Cruise, Colin Farrell, Maxwell Sidnow, and then I forget the girl's name, but she was, a relatively known actor. And like I said, it just had a cool premise. It got really good reviews. It's got some really cool action scenes. There's one action scene where they have to remove Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has to get his eyes replaced.
What?
Yeah, it's really cool. And then they almost catch him doing that. He's got to break out of a building. So yeah, it's cool. It makes the future look really cool. Like I said, the set pieces are done really well. But I just really didn't know how to feel about it. I gave it a 2.5 on Letterboxd because I was like, I can definitely see why people like this movie, but I just had really mixed feelings of it. I really didn't know how to feel about it. It's definitely a movie I want to try to check out again, maybe try to understand it a little bit better. But I'm gonna go with Minority Report as a movie that I just felt very mixed about.
All right, well,
it's gonna be mine. I feel like you probably like it. I don't know. You might have
I feel like Tom
feelings.
Cruise has a few of those because there's.
Like you said, it got really good reviews. It's got like a 3.9 on Letterboxd.
I forget what the other one's called. I think it's called Oblivion. Maybe.
Oblivion. I heard Oblivion was supposed to be pretty good.
It's the one where like he's supposed to be him and there's I forget the female actress, but they're supposed to be the last two people on Earth.
Yeah,
and he has to like defend it against like some type of like alien race because like they're trying to like take all of like the resources. It's like a crazy movie, but it was overall pretty good.
I heard that one.
Another slept on movie.
No, I heard that one was good.
But our next quick hitter is what is the saddest action movie death in your opinion? Cull has listed one that has possibly brought you close to tears.
I said, it's so well. It might have had you on the verge of tears. Not saying you were crying, but you were like, "Wow, like this fucking hits." Is sad. You know what I mean? Something emotional, sad moment. Besides Furious 7, because I feel like that's an obvious.
That's
choice.
an obvious one for the boys.
So you want me to rip it first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So tough to answer. Furious 7 is the obvious choice when it comes to action movies. So we're talking action movies specifically, only that genre. But there is an easy option that maybe get forgotten in it because it's more of a cop flick. Yes, sir. The movie End of Watch features one of the saddest and most gut-wrenching movie death scenes in history. I won't go into the details of the scene because major spoilers ahead. I already told you someone died, but I didn't tell you who. But know that this David Ayer cop flick featuring in the leads Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal will leave any guy or girl on the verge of tears or at the very least holding them back, just reaching for the tissue box. I challenge anyone to watch the entirety of this movie and not be emotionally in shambles from the extremely sad and, more importantly, hopeless ending that this movie is. That's this movie closes with. Word. And then I thought of another one, but
You can say another. I have two, honestly.
All right, I'll say another one. No, you go one, and we'll do a little.
All right.
Rotation.
Whereas Cull tried to keep it spoiler free, I'm gonna absolutely just drop spoilers.
I mean, I didn't keep it that spoiler free.
My movie's a lot older than End of Watch, so if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, I'm gonna pull a Tom and say go fuck yourself. You should have seen this movie. Like sad death. I'm gonna go with Harry Stamper from Armageddon.
Oh, that shit hit.
Super sad death. It's Bruce Willis and. At the time, a young Ben Affleck. I forget the name of his character, but his character...
Harry Stamper is Bruce's, I think.
Yeah, his is definitely Bruce's. Yeah. But Ben Affleck is playing one of Bruce Willis's worker. Like Bruce Willis is the boss of this team, and Ben Affleck's also dating his daughter at the time, Bruce Willis's daughter, and they're supposed to be on. They're on an asteroid they land on an asteroid that's supposed to hit Earth, and their plan is to break it in half before it hits Earth, because if it hits Earth, it's going to destroy it.
Kill everyone.
So they have to break it in half so that it separates and misses the Earth.
Just misses.
And that's the point of like the entire movie. Their original plan to break it ends up falling through, and essentially one of them has to stay behind and
to detonate like the bomb.
To detonate a bomb that will basically split it in half.
Yeah.
And they draw straws for it, them and the whole team. And Ben Affleck ends up drawing the short straw, and he has to go out and set off the bomb. So Bruce Willis walks down the elevator with him that's leading out into the asteroid, into the space, to set off the bomb. And right before he puts the suit onto Ben Affleck so he can go out there, he turns off the oxygen so that Ben Affleck like collapses and isn't able to get all of his stuff on to go out there. And Bruce Willis goes out and then locks the door behind them and says, "I'm staying behind. I need you to take care of my daughter. Do right by her." And
shit's so sad.
And then he ends up calling his daughter right before he sets the bomb off.
Yeah, somehow.
And has like this super heartfelt.
They had the ability to do video chat in this fucking asteroid.
Yeah, he has some. And then
even though she's all the way back on Earth.
Yeah. Also, crazy. Don't Want to Miss a Thing playing while he's doing it, yes. Or did it start playing afterwards?
It starts.
I know it plays in the wedding at the end, but I don't know if it plays. I think it does there too, which also just adds on a layer of just like.
I know it adds on another layer because obviously that's Aerosmith and Steven Tyler, and the actress who is the daughter and the fiance / girlfriend of Ben Affleck. That's Steven Tyler's real life daughter. That's Liv Tyler, which is like, pretty like a pointed thing, but also kind of cool.
Yeah. But, definitely, if you haven't seen Armageddon.
Armageddon's good. I remember I read something that, like, Disney was really upset because they had problems with production and, like, the final product they put out, like, wasn't what they wanted to be. I'm like, I feel like that movie hits. Like,
it definitely
hits. Like there's a couple things you could have done to make it better, but, like, the cast is there. It's funny. It's good. It's compelling. Like, I like pretty much everything. Like, I don't really have, too many problems with it. I think it was pretty fire. Like... Especially
overall,
that death scene is definitely one of the better handled ones and sadder ones in movie history.
Yeah.
I feel like not just, action or whatever you want to call it, just in general.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Overall, really, really emotional, sad death in the movie. Again, if I spoiled it for you, I'm sorry, but that movie came out in
'98.
In the '90s, yeah. So you should have seen it by now.
Yeah.
So, what's your next one?
Oh yeah, my next one you might laugh at, but it's also gonna be a major spoiler here. There's no way around it.
Just spoil it.
I gotta rip the Band-Aid. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume.
Oh my God, I could have seen this coming. Yondu.
Yes, sir. So Yondu, one of my favorite, might be one of my favorite movie characters of all time. Love Yondu. He's basically the adopted father of the protagonist of the first, the Guardians movies, Peter Quill, Star-Lord. And they have a very rocky father-son relationship throughout the movies. But he raised Star-Lord. He raised him to be tough. He raised him to fight for himself and to fight for the galaxy. And they're fighting Peter's real life father, Ego, who's actually a planet, and he's played by Kurt Russell.
Russell.
He's trying to take over not just the galaxy, but well, yes, the entire galaxy, but Earth included. Usually, Earth's not so directly involved, but he's left his seed, his sperm in every planet he's been to, and by leaving that's leaving his basically destructive material so that he will be everywhere because he is a god. He doesn't want it. Just having one planet is enough. He has to have every planet.
All the planets.
He has to have all of them. So anyway, so the Guardians team, fights him, and they give him all. They give him everything they can. They all, have to make some sacrifices and have some tough moments. But doesn't look like Peter's going to be able to escape. Peter kind of goes beast mode. Kind of uses his godlike powers that he can briefly harness. And fights with Ego, and looks like he's going to get left behind. Rocket Raccoon, great character as well. Gives Yondu, what's it called? He gives him, one way to get out. Gives him a rocket and a way to breathe in space. And Yondu's like, all right, I got to go do this. Gets Peter the fuck out of there, and then after he gets Peter out of there, he gives Peter the mask so that Peter can breathe in space and that the other Guardians can pick him up and sacrifice himself. And says, he might have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. And it sounds kind of like a silly line, but in the context of that movie, it just hits home. Peter finally realized that he did have a father, and then they have a beautiful funeral scene for him where the colors of Ogord play in his honor. and he gets a real Ravager funeral, and people realize that Yondu, even though he wasn't perfect in his life, he he was a Ravager, which is kind of like a pirate.
Sylvester Stallone shows up
in the galaxy. Yep, Sylvester Stallone shows up, and they had a very heated argument earlier where he kind of ostracized him from the Ravagers. But no, they give him his due respect and realize that even though he was flawed in the end, he did the right thing. He helped save the galaxy, and he let his son, survive and keep his legacy and memory going. Which I think it's one of the best death scenes. Like I said, not just action, not just comic book. I think it's one of the best scenes ever done in movie history. So let's move on to another segment. What do we got, Sean? What do we got?
Well, I got my last sad action death.
Oh, my.
No, you're good. It's more of also really a real life thing because the movie's based off of a real life.
Band of Brothers.
But no, Lone Survivor.
Oh yes.
I wrote down obviously all of the servicemen and women, if any, who lost their lives during Operation Red Wings, but namely just from watching the movie, Mike Murphy, the scene of him making the call to their base to let the rest of the team know that the 4 men that were stuck on the mountain were under fire. It's just a super emotional scene. And then I believe near the end of the movie, when Marcus Luttrell is rescued, there's you hear the quote that Mike Murphy is saying, I believe when he's talking to one of the younger SEALs at the beginning of the movie, just saying, you're never out of the fight. Like it's one of like the I don't believe it's the motto, but it's just one of the things that like
a principle.
Principles that SEALs always say. So it's just like a really powerful, important scene.
Yeah, Lone Survivor is one of those movies that I wouldn't say it hits as hard as End to Watch, but similar vibes.
Similar vibe, and, especially because it's like based off of a true thing.
Yeah,
true
no,
event.
exactly. Well, Lone Survivor, I don't think End to Watch.
No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
No, for sure. Yeah, and I saw a lot of people say that Lone Survivor is really like pro-American and pro-patriotism, which I don't really agree with. It just, are there some elements added in that movie for, some dramatic effect? Sure. It's any movie, but like, the basis of that story is true and it happened.
100%.
I don't think it really glorifies the military. It makes you show how hard it is, what tough decisions you have to make when, that, no one should have to make, but, unfortunately they do. So, that's a good one. That's, that there's multiple deaths in that movie that all hit pretty hard, especially with the main characters.
But yeah, so now we're going to move on to, it's basically mine and Cull's thinking corner for the week since we don't have Tom. But
correct.
we realize occasionally we're going to have some super heated moments, so we wanted to rename it for this episode and any more possibly we have going on where it gets a little more heated. We're going to call this the Furnace because we're about to get pretty heated about some stuff. So, Cull, I don't know if you want to go first or if you want me to go first for this one.
No, we're in the furnace, so I think I'm ready to bring some heat.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So I've got a bone to pick with these Nashville bars closing at 2 a.m. on a weekend night on Memorial Day weekend. Listen, I get you have workers there that have worked 8+ hour shifts, want to go home, yada yada yada. But come on, 2 a.m. It's a little bit early. Weekend night. I was at Jason Aldean's bar.
Oh, shout out a bar.
Sunday, May 28th. Great bar. Fuck with it. And at 2 a.m., they politely asked us to start leaving. 2 a.m. So I go to the bathroom on my way out, right move. And as I'm going down one of the 4 flights of stairs, because this place, it's a rooftop, multiple flights of stairs. You got to go down.
An elevator.
And on my way out, some bouncer/loser dude working there starts to give me shit after I very politely asked him which staircase to exit. Very politely asked this guy which staircase to exit. He starts giving me shit. Don't fuck with that. Fuck him. He then called me a dick and told me rudely to leave and tried to stare me down. Which I then yelled up at him, don't try to stare me down. You'd never make it in New York, you fucking loser, working at a bouncer in a bar in Nashville. And even my boy Goose, who, doesn't always defend me, tells it how it is. He's like, yeah, that guy had no reason, getting mad at you. You were asking him a very simple question. I was like, yeah, I know. I think especially on a weekend night, bars should close at 3 or 4 a.m. There were easily 200+ people left in this bar. They would have made some money. But especially if you're going to close a bar at 2 a.m., Don't have people be fucking dicks to you about it, all right? Fuck that dude. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. Cullen, as usual, being way too heated, just like he was with the Philly fans for the Super Bowl special.
I didn't mean to get heated in that episode. This was planned.
Bouncer, if you want to defend yourself,
I don't fuck
we can always have you on the podcast, but you're probably not going to be listening unless you're one of our 50 fans. You never know.
No.
He might have not known that you were Sea Dog.
Oh yeah, he might not have known I was a big podcaster in New York.
You never know. All right. Well, I had two. I'm only going to do one of them. I'm going to save the other one for another time.
Yeah, that's smart.
The one I'm going to talk about for today is not as heated as Cull just got. I'm just like, I also my example is going to be Star Wars for today, but I'm talking about not every movie, TV series, whatever, but the majority of them. It really bothers me when different movies or TV shows or just like universes. So like I said, I'm going to use Star Wars as the example. Retcon things that have been previously set up to like a pretty solid extent in like the universe that it is, and like it just ends up being 10 times worse. So my example for Star Wars is the Ahsoka show is coming out soon. It's coming out next week.
Next week, you excited?
I'm somewhat excited.
Relatively excited. Reasonably excited.
It's supposed to essentially be like a season 5 to the show Rebels, which is what I'm going to be talking about a little bit today. But basically, that's who I'm going to be talking about namely. So Freddie Prinze plays one of the main characters in the Rebel show named Kanan, and he had a very he told Dave Filoni when they were doing the show, he said, I definitely want my character to die because I want him to have an important impact, and I do not want him to be brought back to life because his death needs to have an importance.
Like a meaningful
and
death.
If he gets brought back, there's no importance of it even happening. It shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Dave Filoni held that. He still has not been brought back.
Solid.
Brought back into the future. Fine.
Solid.
But in the first season of The Bad Batch that came out 2 years ago, they bring back his character when he was younger in the during the Clone Wars, which is fine.
Sure.
His
younger is different. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His master has a green lightsaber in everything we've seen her in before in the comics. I believe she shows up in Attack of the Clones and has a green lightsaber.
Oh, it's a girl.
Yes, her name is Dappa Balaba, I believe. Not 100%. Some more devout Star Wars fans will know better than I do. I believe that's her name, though.
Word.
She has a green lightsaber, and in this, they made an entire comic about Kanan before Rebels came out, or just after the first season came out, very early on. Mm-hmm. And they talk about what he had to do to fight in the Clone Wars, his experience with Order 66, all of that.
And he was one of the only survivors of it, right?
Yes, one of the few.
Yep.
But they show his master's clone army that she leads, and the commander and captain of that are these two cool dudes. Their names are Commander Gray and Captain Styles. Super cool looking clones. One of them has like a machete on his back. Like they've got red armor that's got like spikes painted on it. It looks super sick.
Okay.
So when Bad Batch comes out, they retcon the commander. They get rid of the captain, Styles. He's not even a character anymore. The commander becomes a captain. And they paint his armor green, which is fine, mixing up the color. But they make it, he doesn't have the machete anymore. He basically just looks like a plain clone with some green armor. Then they give Dappa Balaba, or whatever her name is, a blue lightsaber. Which, like, again, these are minor things, but, like, for, like, the fans that have been watching... Star Wars fans, especially the ones who have been, like, reading their stuff a long time, watching their stuff a long time. If anyone... I don't know who is a fan of the specific master or of those clones, but, like, for people that are, like, diehard fans or, like, thought that the Kanan comic when it first came out was written, like, really well, and then they see all this stuff getting replaced, it's going to bother them a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And the one thing that I can't say for sure will happen, because it hasn't come out yet, but people are believing that there's a possibility that Sabine, one of the other characters in Rebels, who's going to have a big part in Ahsoka, she was a Mandalorian, never Force sensitive, but the trailers are making it look like she's going to become a Force sensitive Jedi just out of nowhere. Which, again, very weird retcon. Like this, that's just stuff sometimes that you don't have to do. You're pushing a little bit too much. There's stuff that if you didn't do it for all these like years and stuff, there's no reason it should have just been like
thrown into the
just
fire,
thrown in just to be like
to
bring in views or to from people that have never seen stuff like this.
No, 100%. I think Star Wars right now definitely really struggles with trying to do worthy fan service, but also thinking of their new ideas, and it's a fine line. It's a thin line to try to do both. And, like you said, that feels like your example here is one of those examples where they're, trying to do both, trying to bring in new fans, but also pissing off the older fans. And, I feel like Star Wars has done a little bit too much of pissing off older fans, but
definitely,
there's also plenty of fans that are way too anal is a word that I'm going to use.
No, I agree.
And divided.
And like I said, it's not 100% the Star Wars universe. That's just my example because that's what I've seen specifically. Yeah. There's definitely other movie franchises
Marvel,
where they'll change something from the comics that people won't agree with. It doesn't need to.
Yeah, for sure.
Invincible
is one of the few examples where most of the changes they make from the comics to the show are well, but not all of them are. There's definitely some that do not pan out, as well in the show, and they should have kept some shit from the comics. So
there's stuff that, Tom is a big The Boys fan,
and Tom's a big what did he say? Source material stickler,
definitely,
which is fine.
But that's another example that I was just thinking of. The Boys, show isn't finished yet. Right. We could definitely still do this down the road, but. Spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to listen to this, just skip ahead like 5 minutes. One of the main characters, Black Noir, and you end up discovering that when he takes off his mask, he's a clone of Homelander, who is like the evil Superman from that show. For the fans that don't know.
I know.
And
who's
you
the
find
Captain America of that show?
Soldier Boy.
I like him.
But in the comics, you find out that Black Noir is a clone of Homelander that's supposed to be keeping an eye on Homelander so he doesn't go like batshit crazy, and then they end up fighting, and I forget which one wins, but one of them ends up killing the other in the comics. Super interesting thing. So far in the show, it's not 100%, but it's basically 100% confirmed that Black Noir is not a clone of Homelander, and I feel like that was like one of the cool.
Sounds like a major storyline.
Yeah, it was one of the cool spins that I know people who read the comics probably saw that and thought that was insane, and now it's not.
Probably not.
Most likely not. Because you've seen they do a flashback where you see the face of the original Black Noir. Granted, this could be a new one, but they're showing you the guy, so it's most likely the guy. And you see in the present, he has like burn marks. You see how the original one got specific burn marks. So you're supposed to believe that it's the original one. So again, it's just like another retcon that felt like unnecessary. They were just trying to like confuse fans, but it's something fans probably really wanted to see.
Now listen, I would love to be in a meeting boardroom with some of these execs when they're
deciding on if it should they should change something.
Yeah, I just want to be a fly on the wall. I don't want to give my own opinion because listen, I feel like if I was going to be in that room, I would definitely study the source material and
definitely
And I feel like
how it impacts the fans. You have to keep in mind what are the fans going to react to heavily.
And you don't have to have your whole mindset on the fans. I know you got to make money, but the fans are the ones who give you money. The fans are the ones who you want to have a positive opinion of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like a lot of execs, and it's not just current day. It's been going on for a long time, but a lot of execs just they just care about fattening their wallets and pushing their own agenda, and their own agenda clearly isn't always the right move. And I feel like there's clearly a lack of formal background research on their part.
I just feel like too
in too many instances
they have to keep in mind a lot of times the fans are going to lead to better income. If the fans see something that they liked from the original source material, they're going to go out and tell other people who haven't seen the comics, the show, whatever. You should check this out. Mm-hmm. And if you do something that they're not going to like, they're not going to go to their friends and be like, you should check that. They're going to be like, it sucks. The comic did this really cool thing, and the show just completely fucked it up. The movie fucked it,
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's enough from the furnace from us today.
Yeah,
but
we got a little heated, but you know what? Sometimes
we're in Estina del Fuego.
No Spanish.
We're doing that for our boy Tom, 60% Spanish.
We're doing it for Jackie Jr. For my father.
Yeah, for my father. But yeah, just because I was talking about Star Wars,
I think we got one more segment here.
We have another underrated shout out, and this is a definite underrated shout out because instead of talking about actors or actresses or celebrities, we're going to talk about something that is a little bit closer to our level. So I was talking about Star Wars a little bit before, so. The other day, while I was working, I was trying to, turn on a podcast, have a little bit of white noise while I'm doing some work, something to listen to.
You don't want to listen late to the game?
No.
Oh,
Don't need to be listening to our own material. We know we got that on lock.
shit.
But don't need to be boosting our views from just us. That's not right.
We want the natural.
That's not right. Yeah, we want the natural views. But I go onto YouTube real quick to see if because I listen to a podcast here and there. Podcasts.
You don't really listen to podcast episodes in order, right? You kind of just check them out, like which episode
It
you
depends.
feel
It depends if there's like a storyline going with it. Like I listened to a few episodes of Talking Sopranos. I'll skip to the episode we're currently on. Okay. But that's because we're currently on. I kind of want to hear what they're talking about from the episode we're on.
Right.
Or if it's like one that if it's like a podcast where they don't have you have to follow us by episode, kind of like how we're doing it, we're talking about a random movie. It's like, I'll just skip to whichever one I want to hear.
Yeah, you guys, you don't have to follow them in order. We're like Seinfeld like that.
Yeah. So I was on YouTube, and in the YouTube, the short clips, I had a clip of a podcast come up, and it was a Star Wars podcast. And Cole knows, and if Tom was here, he would admit it too. Especially recently, I've become the top Star Wars guy between the three of us. Probably, I still keep up with the majority of what's going on, new material. I've played the most recent game that came out, Jedi Survivor.
You love the game.
It was really good, yeah. But so this podcast came up. It's called the 7/16th Attack Legion, and that's obviously just based off of something like the clones legions that they would have. But it's a group of guys that they're up and coming podcasts just like us. They have a few subscribers. They also started around the same time as us, early January.
Okay,
and they kind of just hang out, shoot the shit, talk about different topics of Star Wars. I showed Cole an episode a couple of days ago, and it's just them talking about the Clone Wars show,
and Clone Wars
their hot takes, their favorite arcs, all this different stuff. And a lot of their stuff's interesting. I listened to an episode about Jedi Survivor, and I told Cole I had already played through the game once, and listening to their podcast, they mentioned something that I completely missed in my first playthrough that I was like, I wish I saw. I want to go through and play it now.
So they gave you some knowledge you didn't have before.
Yeah, and I went. Now I'm going through on a second playthrough so I could see it.
Word.
But yeah, just overall, I mean, a lot of the stuff they do, it seems like they're also very similar to us. They just shoot the shit. They have some funny moments where they kind of just mess with each other, make each other laugh. They've got this one guy, Christian, who is very similar to Tom.
Yeah,
he's very vocal about his personal opinions on stuff. And overall, I just thought they're a really solid podcast that haven't been getting enough love. I feel like they should be getting more than what they've been getting. And I just wanted to help out a little bit. And from at least me and Cole here at late to the game, we support you guys. Hope you guys are doing good.
Yeah,
and,
maybe we'll link with them. We can have them
maybe we'll do a joint.
Do a joint. We can have eventually them on ours. Maybe we could go on theirs.
We did Tales to the Jedi as our first episode, and we've done the original Clone Wars.
Have they done those?
I don't know if I've listened to a few. I've only listened to 3 or 4 episodes. I haven't listened to everything yet.
Are you gonna? They're that
at
good.
Some point. They're one of the ones that I'm gonna kind of mix around. I'm not gonna go chronological order.
Right.
See which stuff I meld with, which stuff I don't. That's kind of the same with what we've been doing.
True.
There's a movie or show that we're doing that you don't want to listen to. You don't have to listen to it. You skip to whichever one you do want to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's lots of War fans out there. A lot of Band of Brothers fans.
Yes, sir.
A lot of Fast and Furious fans. Not a lot of Star Wars fans we've gotten so far.
Well, maybe the boys at the 7/16 can help us out, but. Hope you guys are doing good over there, and
respect to what you're doing.
We're hopefully trying to do the same.
So we respect you guys. Maybe we'll get together.
Yeah,
it would help us both out.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much everything we got for today. Cole, any final thoughts? Any talking about the possible next episode? What are we feeling?
Fine. Yeah. So next episode, potentially. So we've hit a lot of movies, in our aforementioned Super Bowl special that really went crazy. So we could either do Fast X, we could do Oppenheimer,
The Flash.
We could do The Flash.
The one I said to you today that it would just be good because it's coming out in a week and a half about, and
Gran Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo. We can try and watch it and hopefully rip it pretty early on and record pretty early on so we could get something out to the fans early for once.
Yeah, we do that, and then
because we're pretty late to the game.
We're pretty late to the game. We're gonna try to be better about that, but we've also been big into the Sopranos lately. I'd love to rip an episode talking about the Sopranos, but we could have a good guest on you for that who would bring a lot to the game. So
definitely, we're gonna hopefully try and get Tom back for those two because Tom is.
We'll see about that.
We'll see, but Tom is the one that brought us into Sopranos.
That's true.
Honestly,
that's true.
So he should be here. But like Cole said, regardless of if Tom is here or not, we will also definitely have a special guest, our boy Donnelly, AD. And he could give, he's got a lot of hot takes. He knows a lot of the history about the show, so he can really help out on that end.
Facts. But like we said, I'll probably rip one of those Super Bowl special, another 2023. Well, not another, because the movies we're talking about today were from much longer time ago, but yes. Probably another 2023 released movie coming out for you. So at least we're trying to be some more recent here. But yeah, we'll hit older media, we'll hit newer media. We might even go back and hit a movie. What's the OG Planet of the Apes movie you want to watch?
Yeah, we could do those. There's a few of them. Also, just
we'll rip movies from all different decades. You never know what you're gonna get late to the game.
Just gonna mention it now because there's a chance we do it down the road. It's definitely not gonna be the next episode, but it could be down the road, and we want you guys to let us know in the comments what you think.
Yeah,
possible. How you're feeling about this, but we might occasionally maybe do a video game. We might do
Assassin's Creed.
No, maybe we'll see. We might do if it's a game we all played through and it's got a really good story, or it's a video game that the three of us played from our childhood and just had like a bunch of hours played in. One of the ideas that while we were texting Tom today was the Assassin's Creed games, but we could also do anything from we all played Injustice, the two games together. We've all played at one form or another of Call of Duty. There's a bunch of options out there, so any specific ones you guys want us to possibly play, if you even want to see video games on the podcast, we can even start with just smaller segments. Yeah. Let us know down in the comments.
All right, please let us know. We'd love some thoughts. The subscribers are out there, but they're not talking.
Cole just really wants a comment from you guys, so someone just drop one comment for us.
Yes,
and make Cole happy.
Please, you'll make my week.
You will make his year.
I'll talk about it every day.
But I think that wraps it up for us here at
Late to the Game Studios.
From Cull, CDog099,
peace out.
Sean B. Don't be late to the next episode, and we will catch you guys next time.